You damn right. Hope your July's off to a good start. We are back to full power. We hope you are as well, although sometimes it takes a couple days after the 4th to get to feeling normal again. We hope you got a couple days off just like we did. We are back at it on a busy Wednesday here on July 5th. And Isaiah's back in the house. You know we're going to talk about some of what he was doing last week. Plus, there's some recruiting to get to. Lots of it as the verbal commitments continue to roll in. Texas had a big weekend. We'll also talk NBA free agency. Things can become official tomorrow. We'll talk about some of those names that are still out there and where they could end up. Let's jump right in. It's Chad and Zay back at full power on a Wednesday. I am Chad Hastings, and he is back from his honeymoon, tanned, rested, and ready. Isaiah Collier. What's up, Zay?
Yeah, I might have got a couple of shades darker, but it's cool. Feeling good, feeling great. Chad, how are you?
Man, I'm doing well. You walked in looking pretty rested, but from what you tell me, the honeymoon did punch back a little bit on you.
Oh, Mexico whooped my ass a little bit. Had a beautiful time. Lovely wife. She was incredible. It was great. Love Cancun. Love the resort. Glad to be back. But y'all know I don't do much drinking.
Right.
Did a little bit down there. Got back. Your boy's still feeling it. It's been about 5 days since I've been back. Still feeling it, but it's all good. Glad to be back, ready to roll.
All right. I don't know if it makes you feel any better, but I'm guessing you are not the first, nor will you be the last person to say, I'm not much of a drinker when you get to Cancun, but you leave Cancun not exactly that exact thing.
Oh, I was hyped.
Yeah.
I'm turning up. Your boy drinking. I have frozen drinks, daiquiris, pina coladas, all of it. All of it.
It's dangerous stuff. See, that all looks so good, and it's pre-mixed a lot of times, but it depends on who's making it, and you're in Cancun, too. So when they're giving you pina colada, Mai Tais and rum runners and all that kind of stuff, usually it's pretty strong.
Exactly. And I'm like, you know what? I'm from Texas, been there my whole life. This heat ain't nothing. Even though sun's a little bit closer up there, this heat ain't nothing. That's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lie. Then the homie Felipe, who we always went to, that was our bartender. When it's all inclusive, you try to get your money's worth. Like that's the biggest thing for me. Like we paid a grip, so I'm gonna try to get my money's worth. And I definitely did.
You're doing
still feeling it now.
Drink math in your head and stuff. That's a dangerous way to go about it. It's the way I go about it. I'm with you. I'm that way too. I want to get my money's worth. So those can be dangerous times. That's not like getting, some frozen drink mixed up. Just some random place in Texas.
Right.
That's not like going into some daiquiri place in a mall or some daiquiri place in Houston. All respect to them. They're making a decent daiquiri, I'm sure. They're not mixing it like they do in Cancun.
Oh, it's a different game.
It's a different world, Well, I'm glad y'all had a great time. I'm sure we will hear some stories here and there from the trip to Cancun. If a lot of you maybe just got back off a trip, maybe you did exactly what Zay, what Bucky, what Craig Way, and Craig did it a whole different way, but also what Mike Hards did last week. Take that week, then get the Monday and Tuesday if the bosses are nice enough, and thanks again to the bosses for being nice enough. So maybe you've had a little time off and you're back refreshed and ready. We'll try to get you caught up on the world of sports. There's been a lot going on. We'll hit a lot of recruiting. There's some NBA. I definitely want to get Zay's thoughts on the NBA stuff, the moves that did and the moves that have yet to happen since he's been on the show last. So we will get to all of that. And remember, if you want to jump in, the Specs text line is 337-3776. But Isaiah, there's good news for you, I think, on certainly one big front as a Texas fan. First off, as you come back, we have now ducked under 60 days till that first Longhorn football game.
Woo!
59 days till Texas plays Rice. We are 1 week away from Big 12 Media Days. Our day up in Arlington is going to be the day Texas is there, Wednesday the 12th. It runs the 12th and 13th. We'll certainly be talking about it on the Thursday, but we will be up there for Light the Tower, for our show, and for Ball Don't Lie on Wednesday, hoping to bring you some great interviews and thoughts and coaches and players and commissioners and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of folks that'll be up there in Arlington. So we're closing in on that. and we'll be giving you more info on it. But we are also going through this time where Texas and a lot of teams are adding commitments to their 24 recruiting class. And at the point when Zay went off on his honeymoon, the Longhorns had added an offensive lineman, they had added a running back in Christian Clark. And since then, they have added Jarrett Gibson, the running back from Florida, a couple of offensive linemen in Nate Kibble and Daniel Cruz, and that's where it sat going into last weekend. But if you were listening on Friday, when we had Jeff Ketchum on from orangebloods.com, we do it Fridays usually around 2 o'clock, and Ketch said, hey, I'm not going to, the kids, I'm not going to take it away from the kids. They're going to let you know, but he said, I think there'll be 3 of them tomorrow. I'm like, oh, okay, 3 on a Saturday. And he was right. 3 guys on July 1st. One of them, speaking of the first, is Alex January, big D tackle out of Duncanville, 6'5", 320. Hello, big human. Then you've got Jordan Johnson Rubel, great name, defensive back out of Florida. He commits on Saturday. Parker Livingstone, a wide receiver out of Lucas Lovejoy, he commits on Saturday. And then yesterday, as a little 4th of July present for the Longhorn fans, Jordan Washington, a tight end we'd been talking about a little bit from Langham Creek, he ends up committing to Texas. He was the guy we had talked about that was trying to decide between, it had kind of boiled down to Texas, Texas A&M, and Alabama. So if you're a Longhorn fan, winning that battle with those 2 schools, probably important to you. So, Zay, the list is up to 12 now for the 2024 class, and I think some key positions for Sark that he's been able to get here.
Yeah, it's big time. You got to start bringing guys in, and the 2024 class is looking like it could be pretty stacked. The name that jumps out to me, Chad, is the Alex January defensive lineman out of Duncanville, because him signing, even though he's a big-time 4-star player, his teammate, Colin Simmons, who everybody and their mama wants out of Duncanville. So when you got a couple of guys at the same school being recruited by the same collegiate schools, that's always a big deal, because, again, you want to go somewhere where it's comfortable. So if I see my homie, which most likely if Colin Simmons came, those guys would probably be roommates. If you're Steve Sarkisian, you want to make those guys as comfortable as possible. Mm-hmm. So if I'm Alex January, yo, man, I'm talking to Colin Simmons every day, like, yo, bruh, mm-hmm. you've been down here. You've taken numerous trips to the 40 acres. You know why I commit. I get it. You being the big-time 5-star, you kind of have a lot more to dabble with when it comes to being recruited by all these schools and stuff. But still, that Alex January commitment, that is absolutely huge, especially if you want somebody like Colin Simmons.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers on that Colin Simmons thing we've talked about. Texas has never, not never, but certainly recently has not had massive claws into the Dallas realm, into Duncanville and into the Dallas area. That would be big for so many reasons. But the fact that Simmons is a big dog 5-star, it's down to, a lot of people think it's down to Texas and LSU. And then the other interesting little detail is that Simmons has been to Texas more recently, and then LSU is going to wait and supposedly have that official visit in November. That they're willing to wait that long and let him have that last run, that last say during the season, maybe, get him in, I'm sure try to get him in for a home weekend and show him Tiger Stadium and everything. But everything I'm reading right now, Zay, from the insiders is that if everybody had to lean, the Texas insiders and the LSU insiders, if they all had to lean right now, I think they'd all lean Texas.
And I'm with that. I mean, it's your home state, just right up the road. Like, why not? You see what Steve Sarkisian is building down here. It's something that's going to be special. And this is a huge season, 2023. Last year in the Big 12. We'll be down there next week in Dallas for Big 12 Media Days, just kind of getting the feel out how Texas is going to be treated in this last year with the new 4 teams coming in. And, going to the SEC, why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? So, yeah, I know LSU, Brian Kelly, they're doing their thing down in Baton Rouge, and they had a really good year last year in Brian Kelly's first year, but man, it's just the University of Texas. When you're from this home state, it just means a little bit more. And hopefully that, goes into Colin Simmons' decision onto maybe committing here. But I'll tell you one thing, Chad, we saw some Baton Rouge folks up in Cancun this past weekend.
Yeah.
Damn, they annoying. That's an annoying group of people.
Really?
They were fresh off the College World Series win. Talk about drunk. Talk about wilding out, accents and all. I'm like, what you talking about, bro? Dude talking to me, talking crazy, telling me how Quinn Ewers is overrated and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm just waiting in line trying to get my pina colada, dog. I ain't trying to hear none of that. I get it. You're hype about winning the College World Series. You're hype about winning the women's basketball championship of Angel Reese and stuff. Cool, but yo, get out my face with all that BS. I see why they run all those Jello shot awards over there in Omaha.
A little fired up.
I see, they're a little fired up. That's a different crew. You've told me they're different.
I'm telling you,
when
man.
All they wore was LSU stuff the whole trip in Cancun. LSU Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that. Like, damn, bro, you can't change it up.
They got like purple and gold Hawaiian hats and stuff.
His woman was talking mess too, talking about, Arch Manning, I don't think he gonna be anything. I'm like, dog, what?
Look at that.
Look, I'm on my honeymoon. I ain't trying to fight nobody. That'd be really embarrassing if we got kicked out of this resort because Zay Collier was out here fighting folks on this LSU-Texas rivalry that they're trying to make happen. But, yo, damn, them folks, they different. So I can't wait to go to Death Valley in upcoming years. But, man, like, Colin Simmons, I get why those people will ride for you and die for you. It's a different atmosphere out there. So I could see why Colin Simmons is kind of, trying to figure things out with, man, should I go LSU or Texas? I get it. I completely get it. They're flat out bat-ish crazy, but I get it.
Yeah, it's a different place, and that's why, the folks that have been there will tell you about that atmosphere. And I remember reading in Shaq's autobiography that once they brought him in and they had him in for a visit and they took him to Tiger Stadium and they orchestrated it to where the entire stadium cheered when his name was announced. Like they announced that Shaq was there and the place just popped, and then Shaq said that was it. Like, that was it. There was nowhere else I was going to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the feeling all that behind it, it's interesting, though. And that I could understand it, I guess, to take that fan base and then put this success that they've just had. I didn't realize, I didn't look it up, but I didn't think to, but this is the first time any school, any D1 school, has ever won the baseball championship and either of the basketball titles in the same year. Nobody's ever done that. Now LSU's done it. Plus, they're still feeling, still feeling a little bit of that energy from the Burrow team, and now they're trying to figure out what Brian Kelly can do. So, interesting that you ran into some LSU folks. By the way,
couldn't miss them.
No,
couldn't miss them.
Yeah,
they're wearing the purple and gold and stuff the whole time. You couldn't miss them folks.
Yeah, they're not subtle.
No.
Subtlety is not one thing that they do really well.
Arch Manning, I can't stay overrated. I'm like, what are you talking about, dog?
You got to get the Cajun to English dictionary between now and when you enter the SEC.
Dude, I'm Baton Rouge, born and raised. Like, damn, man, I'm happy you just afforded this place.
Did you see anybody with a gator bite? Anybody show you their gator bite?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I got shown a gator bite at one of the first tailgates we ever went to in Baton Rouge. That was like, man, that's legit. And the dude was stirring the gumbo with a boat oar. I'm like, all right, this is a different level.
A different type of country.
Here's a different kind of level too, Zay. Our man Chris Bennett says, tells you that he welcomes you back. Hope you had a great time.
Thanks, CB.
But he also is asking, did Zay not come back looking like Malik Murphy? Well, maybe not exactly like that. Have you seen the picture of your quarterbacks yet?
Yo, man. Those boys yoked out here. Arch, Malik, Quinn, Charles Wright was even swolled up. I was impressed. Very impressed. Yeah, that's a swole-ass quarterback room Steve Sarkisian has there.
Nobody missed arm or ab day in the Longhorn quarterback room.
Yeah, yo, Peyton and Eli ain't look like that.
No, they did not. And shout out once again to Jeff Ketchum of OrangeBloods.com, who made the best analogy I've heard of that picture yet, comparing each of them to a Von Erich brother. It was fantastic. And go check him out on social media for that and exactly who was which Von Erich brother. But I thought that was good. Yeah, Malik Murphy, we already knew he was impressive, but he was, I really thought they all had, like you said, I thought they all had their arguments for it. If I'm a Texas fan, I really like what I'm seeing out of Quinn Ewers just all the way around. It's not just about a haircut with him. There's just been a whole remake and seeing that picture would make me feel pretty good if I'm a fan. Clearly, he's been dealing with those details, getting in the weight room, making sure things are taken care of, and obviously they all look like they're in pretty good shape.
2022 was very up and down for Quinn Ewers. I mean, we saw early the potential. He gets knocked out in the Alabama game, and that set him back a lot, man. Just, you can't discount the PTSD that a young guy has who's had a lot of injuries throughout his career, going back to the South Lake Carroll days when he had the hernia stuff. Like, the guy hasn't played a full season in a hot minute. So you're already a freshman. You're already dealing with all the bumps and bruises that you organically have to go through as a freshman, being, a collegiate quarterback from a big time Power 5 school like the University of Texas. And now you get injured and you want to bring back with a lot of talent around you. Like, you got the best running back in your backfield. There's a lot of pressure that went with Quinn Ewers last year. And did he live up to it? Not so much. Did he show flashes of stardom? Absolutely. Can he still be that first round pick in the 2024 draft? Absolutely. But he knew there were things that he had to clean up. And what we've seen thus far, he's done all the right things, from talking about him just being, thinking that it was easy and coming back with a new mentality like, yo, bruh, it ain't this easy. Like, I got to get back to my mechanics. I can't just use my, beautiful arm that everybody know and loves, the Aaron Rodgers comparisons and stuff. No, like, I have to really be locked into film. I got to be locked into every single mechanic, from, just not stepping into his throws, just little things, just focusing on Xavier Worthy maybe too much and not realizing that you got other wide receivers on the field that might be open. Just so all those things you've seen in this offseason, Quinn Ewers has came back and he showed us that he can get better and he's taking it seriously. And you see what he's looking like in the weight room. And as you mentioned, Chad, it's not just the haircut, it's just the full mentality. And that gives the whole roster, offense and defense, and this coaching staff a lot of confidence, the confidence that you need to win a Big 12 championship on your way out to the SEC.
Before we hit this break, Zay, did you happen to catch which Texas players are going to Big 12 Media Days? Catch that announcement?
Did I say Jonte Cook there?
Not Jonte Cook. That was my wish.
I saw.
Oh, that was my
like a
wish.
picture come out, and I'm like, why would he be there? It didn't make any sense.
That's what I wanted. Quinn Ewers will be there. Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy, and Jordan Whittington on the offensive side, and then Jalen Ford and Jahdae Barron defensive.
Yo, if we gotta, I hope we can interview Jordan Whittington on Wednesday, because I gotta ask him about the buffs. The Cartier glasses that he's been rocking. Like, I've been seeing on social media, that's a big deal. Like, he's spending some serious paper on some sunglasses.
Oh, really?
I don't know if NIL obviously is, taking care of him, because them ain't cheap. But that's a different look. That's like a Detroit thing, which I'm big in the Detroit culture from the BMF days.
Does he have a deal with the sunglass company, though?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's clean, though.
Yeah?
It's clean. For somebody that's a sunglasses fanatic, I would love to have some buffs. I don't think I could pull them off, though, but I feel you, young man. You rocking the buffs. It's going to be a huge year for Jordan Whittington. He came back for a reason. He didn't get the looks that he should have gotten last year. A lot of that due to Quinn Ewers just looking too much of Xavier Worthy, which Steve Sarkisian, you should get some blame, too, for that. But with that wide receiver room being as deep as it is, Jordan Whittington, he might be forgotten at times, which is very scary for the entire nation.
It's interesting to think, and we talked about it when it was announced, but Sarkisian, Ewers, and Worthy are now all going to be at Big 12 Media Days, so let the questions commence. They'll all be there. The guy that called the plays, the quarterback that sometimes couldn't make the connection, and the receiver that didn't always make the catches he wanted to make, and obviously there's Sark probably being asked about that hand injury with Worthy and all those things. So how those three guys deal with it will be interesting to see. Those were the five that were announced. If you maybe were away from things and missed it last week, we'll continue to talk Texas. The big recruiting weekend for Texas got up to 12 in that 2024 class.
I'm already seeing it on the Specs text line. People are asking me, Zay, what do you think about Jalen Green and Josh Christopher? I'm not trying to get kicked off air the first time I get back on from my vacation. Let me just say, they were wilding. They were out of control. That's it. Josh Christopher is off to Memphis. Jalen Green, I've never seen nothing like that before. That's all I gotta say. I've never seen nothing like that before. We're in an age where everything's put on video. He's probably not the first one to do some wild stuff like that. That's it. That's all y'all getting from me.
Okay, yeah. At some point off the air, you can clarify what that is because I've heard the name Jalen Green and I have no idea why it's out there right now. NBA free agency is official tomorrow. They can officially start signing those deals tomorrow. Up next, I want to get Zay's thoughts on some NBA free agency, including Harden and Lillard still hanging out there. Where do they end up? Plus, names like Kyrie and Draymond that aren't going anywhere. Zay's thoughts on all of it coming right up. If you want to jump in, Specs text line 337-3776. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
I don't know what's worse, that I've now seen the Jalen Green video, or that because I'm on some new form of Twitter, I haven't figured out how to set up. Now I can't get rid of it. Now it's like it's just on my screen. I have to go to a different window here. Oh, my God. Chad and Zay with you on a Wednesday. Zay is back from his honeymoon, recovering from the drinks that he did have in Cancun. All right, how we starting off here, Zay? What do you got?
Gary U.S. Bonds, this little girl.
Okay. Well, you're going way back here.
Yeah, 81.
Yeah.
Not too far.
Not too far.
Gary had a smooth throw, though.
Did he?
Yeah.
Gary U.S. Bonds. I remember the name. There we go. Gary U.S. Bonds getting us started. Hope everybody is having a great Wednesday, our first show of the week. Thanks to the bosses for a couple of days off. We hope you got a little time off. Maybe chilled out with some fireworks last night. Hope everybody is safe and sound in your world. And we got a lot of good text rolling in on the Specs text line. 337-3776. Somebody texted, the only question for Sark at Big 12 Media Days would be, you had 2 running backs drafted by the NFL. Why didn't you run the damn ball? Sark is overrated, according to a texter.
Just waited too late.
Mm-hmm.
Last 2 weeks of the season, he figured it out. Kansas and Baylor, beautiful performances on the ground. If you look at a lot of those Bijan
Right.
Robinson highlights that were shown in the NFL draft, a lot of those were Kansas highlights because Bijan ate the Jayhawks alive up there in Lawrence. And yeah, I mean, with a running back room that isn't as talented as it was last year, will Sark be able to swallow his pride on throwing the ball and say, man, we still got guys here that could put on a show on the ground, yet let's utilize these guys.
And maybe they also figured out some of the stuff they were, I don't know, tipping? The stuff they were tipping to the other teams?
Yeah.
That they think may be there with Bama and TCU? Some of that as well. Could be a combo of things. I'm guessing those questions will be out there. And yes, I'm sure Sark will get asked about Xavier Worthy and that hand injury that he let everybody know about. And Xavier Worthy will be asked about it, I'm sure, too. But Xavier gets to play a different game than Sark does. Xavier gets to play, what do you want me to do? Say I don't want to play?
Say I don't want the ball?
I'm going to tough it out. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tough it out. I've played injured before. I've played hurt before, and that's what I did. It's Sark who's going to have to talk about, those plays getting called. All right, so it is Wednesday. It is July 5th. Hope you're having a good day after the 4th. Zay, let's get into a little NBA talk here. It's official tomorrow that these deals can start to get signed, but we had a lot of interesting moving and shaking while you were on your week of honeymoon and you getting relaxed. A lot of these NBA guys were trying to figure out where they're going to be next. Where do you? I'll let you decide. Where do you want to start on an NBA free agency discussion here? Because there's a lot of big names that either moved or they're coming back to their teams. What stood out to you?
Probably what the Houston Rockets did. Fran VanVleet, 3-year deal, over $100 million, the undrafted point guard out of Wichita State who won a ring with the Toronto Raptors back in 2019 with Kawhi Leonard. Fran VanVleet was the second best player on that team. Yes, they have Kyle Lowry who has multiple All-Stars and stuff, and Pascal Siakam was good, but Fran VanVleet was a dog in that series. And even though now he's approaching his 30s, I thought signing him and Dylan Brooks was very interesting.
I was going to ask what you thought of the Brooks move.
Yeah, 80 mil. Like, wow, that's hefty. But, when the guy's on and when he's good and he's not talking mess about LeBron James, then he's a solid player. I think all of that stuff with the Grizzlies and the Lakers this past playoff series, that got, just mushed into what Dylan Brooks really provides for a team, and that's toughness, and he could be a knockdown shooter when he's locked in. I don't think he was locked in that Lakers series because he was too busy worried about LeBron James, and that was a problem, and they got rid of him, and the Rockets picked him up. So when you draft Amir Thompson, number 4, and you have Jalen Green, and you still have Kevin Porter Jr., and you have Jabari Smith, I think about, especially with Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. and Thompson, I think about them not really you're not really seeing their full potential because you have somebody like Van Vliet and Brooks there. I mean, yes, Van Vliet is solid. Yes, Dylan Brooks can be good too, but that's a lot of guard heavy, type of players in the H.
Hmm.
And it just doesn't make as much sense to me if you went out and got somebody like a Pascal Siakam, which they're trying to trade for, in Toronto. I don't know where he's going to end up, but they're trying to just straight up rebuild in Toronto and just start all over and see what could happen in the next few years by getting draft picks and getting, different type of guys because they're clearing cap space with the new collective bargain agreement. So that's going to be interesting for me with Houston because are you expecting Amen Thompson to come off the bench now? You would have to think so because I mean he's a rookie, 20 years old, but you drafted him fourth, like fourth, a fourth round, a fourth pick in the draft. That guy's supposed to be starting. Just in my opinion, if that guy's not starting or coming in playing huge minutes, then I don't know what we're doing here. So Van Fleet, he's going to start. I've already seen him and Jalen Green, like they're already together working out and stuff in LA, trying to get better for the season. And, we just talked about the Jalen Green video. They need some maturity there. There's something.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about Van Vliet. That's kind of the idea, right? Bringing in a mature player that could be good for that locker room.
Right. But sometimes he could be a little over the top with, how he acts as a leader. Because this past year with Toronto, he was barking at guys. He was throwing guys under the bus in press conferences and stuff like that. Like, I don't think Fred VanVleet handled himself the best way his last year in Toronto. And he was going at him and Pascal Siakam. They were going at guys behind the scenes, just questioning their love for the game. And when you're somebody like Fred VanVleet, you're undrafted, you got it from the mud, like, you don't take anything for granted. Nothing. So when you see guys over here that are getting picked in the lottery and stuff, and they're probably out here trying to hang out with Drake and go to parties and just living it up, and Van Fleet's over here at 6 foot saying, yo, man, I'm trying to be the leader of this team. Y'all aren't helping me. I could see why he was rubbed the wrong way. So the Rockets, they definitely need that type of leadership. But, man, they got a lot of guards there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they shipped off Kevin Porter Jr. in the next few weeks or so.
Interesting. A couple things I wanted to ask you about because a couple of the moves I thought were interesting. We'll talk about a couple of the massive stars in a second, but a couple guys that we saw make an impact in the playoffs and finals. What did you think about – you and I talked a lot about Bruce Brown as things were going along. Now he ends up in, is it Indiana?
Yep.
So talk about it,
deal.
Both perspectives. What does that do in terms of Indiana, but also what kind of effect do you think that has on the champs?
That hurts them. That hurts them because he was huge all year long. I mean, nobody was watching the Denver Nuggets during the regular season. Everybody just kind of jumped on the bandwagon during the postseason, which makes sense. I mean, they played just in a different time and stuff, and it's Denver. Now they got everybody respect because they just won the championship 2023. But Bruce Brown, during the regular season, he was huge. He didn't miss many games. And as a backup point guard that's 6'5", that could do multiple things, that's super athletic, could guard the best player on the other team, could shoot that thing. Bruce Brown, Mike Malone, all that crap that you were talking at the parade, saying, we keeping Brucey. We keeping Brucey. Damn right, he's coming back. We're some greedy bastards and stuff. It's going to be a little harder to be greedy because he was a solid player. And, you of all people should know, Chad, 2011, that Mavs team, everybody thinks it's all sweet and stuff. You lose a couple of guys, you'll never get that back.
Yep.
That it just is what it is. It's already hard enough to repeat. But when you're losing a whole bunch of guys, it makes it even harder because you're already at which maybe they think Christian Brown is going to step up into that role.
Right.
He could easily do that. If Christian Brown improves his three-point shooting, which we've seen at Kansas with Bill Self, he was a solid shooter. I was kind of I wasn't very impressed with his shooting coming into the league this year, but he wasn't really asked to do that with Mike Malone's crew. He was asked to be a defensive stopper, hustle guy. They had shooters. But now that Bruce Brown is out, he's going to really have to step up, which he's capable, but still, I know they're hurting from that. Bruce Brown was solid all year long, And shout out to the Indiana Pacers for picking them up. I like them getting Obi Toppin. Like, he's a solid pickup from New York. I don't think he's shown his true abilities there. And they just signed Tyrese Halliburton to a 5-year extension. So, Indiana, they're still on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs, but they're headed towards the right direction, and picking up somebody like Bruce Brown, that's a big deal.
So let's go to the other side of the finals then. Tell me about what you thought the moves the Lakers made, including getting Gabe Vincent. That one really stuck out to me. With what we saw Vincent do for Miami, now he's going to be hanging with LeBron and the guys. How do you think the Lakers did?
I think that's a big-time get. I love Gabe Vincent. I love him. And remember how bad D'Angelo Russell was in that Denver series. He was trash. He was absolutely trash.
Now they are bringing him back, though, right?
Right. But you can bring him back. We talked about that. You need to bring back somebody else if you want to bring him back.
Right.
And Gabe Vincent, we know he ain't scared. Like, if he didn't have that ankle injury in the Boston series where he missed the game, I don't think they would have beat the Nuggets, but they would have been a lot more competitive than 5 games. Because Gabe Vincent, he was hitting shots off the dribble. You could give him the ball in pick and roll situations. He does a good job of getting guys on his hip and just getting into the paint and making things happen. Gabe Vincent is a really good player. Reminds me a lot of Fred VanVleet, because he's also an undrafted guy coming out of UC Santa Barbara, which we know Miami Heat, they love those undrafted guys. So I like, they got Austin Reeves back. Jackson Hayes, Texas alum, big time get out of New Orleans because he's super athletic. I mean, you just need bodies nobody can stop Nikola Jokic, but you need bodies out there to make life tough for him. And when LeBron and D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis, Reeves, Gabe Vincent, when they got the ball in their hands and they're orchestrating the pick and roll, Jackson Hayes is a very good player rolling to the basket. He could catch lobs. He's super athletic. He's a solid defender. The thing with him is just staying healthy. They got Prince from Baylor. He's a part of that squad now. Cam Reddish, that might be their most underrated pick. Getting Cam Reddish out of Portland, which he's just never lived up to that lottery pick that everybody thought he was coming out of Duke. Cam Reddish coming out of high school, people talk about him being one of the greatest players they've ever seen coming out of high school. There's a clip that always goes around with Anthony Edwards, Minnesota Timberwolves, their number 1 pick, who just got signed to a big-time extension, $260 million. And he was the number 1 pick in the draft. There's a clip back in the day, they were talking to him and a whole bunch of guys that are now in the league. I think Tyrese Maxey was in this video, and they were asking those guys, who was the hardest player you've ever played against in high school? They're all talking about Cam Reddish. So the whole NBA is kind of like waiting for Cam Reddish to finally just break out. And when he was at Duke, he was under Zion Williamson's shadow, RJ Barrett's shadow. So he never got to develop there like he could have maybe at another school where he would have been the man. He was a number 3 option, and he's had a couple of injuries. Playing with a LeBron James and just getting that type of, leadership, understanding how to take care of your body, understanding how to be a pro. Say what you want about LeBron. Again, he might bitch like a baby mama that hasn't had her child support in 3 months. Still, LeBron James is one of the greatest ever. He will teach you how to be a pro. And if he could get some of that in the Cam Reddish, then they might take off. And the Lakers, I think they got a lot better. But it all depends on Cam Reddish, if he could develop into that person that a lot of people think he can at 6'9". 6'9", he has a picture-perfect jumper. It's just his motor ain't there yet. And he's bounced around the league a lot. He's been 4 different places in 4 years or so. That's a lot for somebody that's only 23 years old. So they haven't given up on him. The NBA won't give up on him. I think the Lakers is a good situation for him. And shout out to LA. They made some good moves.
That's interesting. I didn't realize they'd gotten Reddish. I was trying to keep up with all of it, and I had not seen that one. We'll get more of Zay's thoughts as we move along. Free agency in the NBA. We'll talk big names like Harden and Lillard, Kyrie, Draymond staying where they are. We'll get Zay's thoughts on that as we move along. If you have thoughts on it, Specs text line 337-3776. Coming up at 1:05, more on the recruiting haul for Texas over the weekend, the commitment haul. Justin Wells of Inside Texas to talk about his thoughts thoughts. Who stands out to him the most? Is it the D tackle from Duncanville, or is it somebody else over the weekend? Plus, we'll talk to him about that big tight end commitment that the Longhorns got from Jordan Washington. Up next, though, in the crap bag, I'll talk about A&M's big recruiting gets and a position to watch moving forward in the House divided. The numbers should not make you happy if you love your Longhorns or your Aggies. Stay put. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, yes, indeed. This one takes me way, way back. Always something there to remind me. Naked Eyes, ladies and gentlemen, on a Wednesday. Naked Eyes and Gary U.S. Bonds start the show today. What kind of music did you get down in Cancun?
A little bit of everything.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just kind of
Not too bad.
They're jamming different things. Now, did you guys go to places where there's where people are dancing, or were you just sort of hanging out more like a bar music vibe?
Yeah, just bar music vibe at the resort. They would have different events at night and stuff. Your boy Rock Karaoke.
Yeah?
Oh, man, I got a little video up there. Check it out. Ain't that _ Zay. Just a little snippet. I couldn't give y'all the whole thing.
Okay.
I'll be giving y'all Quentin Ewers prices if y'all need to see the whole thing. But
wow.
Yeah. But your boy, yeah, he rocked that. Confessions, Usher. Killed it.
Oh, nice.
Killed it.
Okay. Yeah,
Killed
we got to get into this Quinn Ewers thing here. We may be able to make it a part of the crap bag today, but we got to get that out for the people. Also, Justin Wells, Inside Texas, coming up. We'll talk some Texas recruiting. Longhorns had a big recruiting weekend. The Aggies did as well. Don't worry, Longhorn fans. I'm presenting this here as something you want to keep an eye on. So let's tell you what the Aggies did, and then I'll tell you about some numbers I looked at in the crap bag.
Chad's Crap Bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. So I'm taking note of the recruiting classes that each are building, Texas and Texas A&M, and noticing that, Texas ends up with a couple of pass catchers recently. Parker Livingstone, the kid out of Lucas, Texas, Lucas Lovejoy, and then, of course, Jordan Washington, the tight end out of Langham Creek, the Cypress area. And then I see the story about the last couple guys that A&M has gotten that are pass catchers. First, it was Draylon Miller out of Silsbee, big-time wide receiver, an ESPN 300 guy. Then over the weekend, a really big name picks the Aggies over a lot of other big names. He is from Phoenix City, Alabama. His name is Cam Coleman. He's a 5-star. Auburn, Clemson, LSU, Bama, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Miami, Michigan, Texas, Ohio State. Everybody wanted him. He is committed to A&M. Obviously, that's just a verbal commitment at this point, but the Aggies get that, that commitment. So here's a way to look at it, whether you're a Longhorn fan, Aggie fan, or whoever you root for. Right now, I'm seeing A&M as the 8th-ranked team in a team rankings that I'm looking at. I believe it was the Rivals rankings that I was pulling this off of. So they're sitting at 8. The top 5 there are Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Florida, LSU at 9, USC at 11, Texas at 28 on that list. Interesting, Bama at 31 on that list right now. So maybe things a little slower than Nick Saban would like them at this point. And as I just told you, A&M was able to get that receiver, and it's one Alabama wanted, just like Texas just got a tight end that Bama wanted, and for that matter, A&M wanted as well. So all those battles are going to be key. But Zay, I thought I would take a look at pass catchers, receivers, or I'll let it be a tight end as well. And I went and looked at the draft. Last 10 NFL drafts, how many total pass catchers do you think Texas has had drafted? Last 10 drafts, total, drafted anywhere. Receiver or tight end?
So Devin Duvernay, Colin Johnson.
That's 2.
Oh my gosh.
You just got 2 of them.
This sucks. It shouldn't be this hard.
What really sucks is there's only one more. That's what sucks if you're a Texas fan. It's 3 total. Swaim's the other guy. 3 is the number there. If you're an Aggie fan, your number is 4. 10 years. 4 receivers / tight ends in a 10-year period. Let's go to the first round. Texas and Texas A&M, Zay, combined 10 drafts. How many in the first round?
Donut.
It's 1 guy.
1 guy?
1. Mike Evans. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Now let's go to what you're chasing. Alabama and LSU combined have 11 first-round wide receivers or tight ends in the last 10 years, and they have a combined 26 receivers or tight ends in the last 10 years, 13 for each school. So if you love your Longhorns or you love your Aggies, that's a number to pay attention to these next few years as Texas enters the SEC and they continue to battle each other. This is a pass-happy league right now. This is a pass-happy college football. You don't get anywhere if you don't have the pass throwers and the pass catchers. And the Longhorns and Aggies are not sending enough big dogs to the NFL at that Bama, LSU level. I didn't even look at Ohio State because I didn't want to cry. But that is something just to keep in mind. So this past weekend and those kind of names, they're big. So if you're an Aggie fan, you enjoy names like Cam Coleman. And if you're a Longhorn fan, you enjoy those names like Livingstone and Washington because you got to start winning some of those kind of battles with the Bamas and the LSUs of the world.
Yeah, you definitely got to start winning them. And interesting for Nick Saban, having another guy plucked right in his backyard, going to A&M, especially with the history that Jimbo and Nick have had in recent years and barking at each other and talking mess and stuff, just embarrassing stuff there. But you think about with the Horns, KJ Lacey coming out of Alabama as a quarterback.
Yep.
Going to Texas now. I mean, they are going right to Alabama and getting some of their best guys that, hey, back in the day, which back in the day is like 5 years ago, if you're from Alabama and you're a 4 or 5 star, you play with Nick Saban. No questions asked. No questions asked because you just named it, Chad. You're probably going to the league. Like if you do everything that he says. Now, what doesn't help, which this gambling fool has some nerve saying, Jahmyr Gibbs, he was asked recently about what's the difference between NFL practices and college practices. And he said, oh, they don't beat you up in the NFL like they do in college. Nick Saban's probably like, what are you doing, bruh? We don't need that. Because guys, at the end of the day, winning's cool and all, but man, I just want to spend 3 years here and get to the NFL as quick as possible. And obviously winning helps that. But if you're going to beat me up, which it's always been known that Alabama guys, they'll come into the league just a little gimpy more than other guys just because Nick Saban, he needs a lot out of his guys. He demands a lot of his guys, which he should. He's the best college football coach of all time. So I get it. But it's a different era of these young athletes nowadays. And I don't think that's helping any type of recruiting, knowing that if I go to Alabama, we might be good, but there's a lot of teams that are starting to get good too. And right up the street in Georgia, you don't hear about Kirby Smart beating up his guys much, and they just won 2 back-to-back national championships. So seeing Nick Saban at 31, usually that would be a concerning thing for Alabama fans, but now when you hear stuff like Jahmyr Gibbs saying, not as much.
Yeah, that's still a wild number to me. 31 in the recruiting rankings for Alabama. By the way, if you believe everything that's being said about NIL recently and which schools are really leaning into it, don't forget that on September 9th, the lead-in on, I think it's ABC, for Texas and Alabama is A&M at Miami. Just reminding everybody, the Aggies go to South Beach. If you believe everything you're hearing about NIL, that's an interesting NIL matchup.
It really is.
Not just a football matchup. A&M at Miami at 2:30, and then Texas and Bama will be the evening game, same day.
Miami's taking NIL very seriously.
Yes, they have.
Even in baseball, they throwing crazy money around.
Yep, they're number 25 in those team rankings, in case anybody was wondering there as well. Lots of numbers to follow, and definitely keep your eyes peeled for those receivers and tight ends. Longhorns and Aggies getting some good news in the last few days on that. All right, coming up, speaking of the Longhorns, we'll talk recruiting and some of those pass catchers and the others with Justin Wells of Inside Texas, Jordan Washington, Parker Livingstone, a couple of the other commits. Which ones really jump out to Justin? We will find out. Plus, coming up at 1:30 in our flex segment, 2 big flex commitments over the holiday weekend. We'll let you know about those. Plus, more NBA free agency talk. I want to get Zay's reaction to where this Harden and Lillard stuff sit right now. Plus, what's he going to tell me as a Mavs fan now that Kyrie is back in Big D? All that's coming up on The Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Wednesday. Hope you had a good 4th of July weekend. Maybe you got a couple of days off, got relaxed, rested, hopefully stayed cool, and hopefully no firework incidents out at your particular parties. We are back and ready to roll. Chad and Zay with you. I'm Chad Hastings. He's Isaiah Collier. We've hit Texas recruiting. Big names over the weekend added to that 2024 class. Jordan Washington, if you missed it on the 4th of July, becomes the 12th commitment in the 2024 class. Also over the weekend, if you follow your in-state Texas hardball, big series with the Astros and Rangers. Astros almost let that last one get away, but they didn't, and it was a huge weekend for Houston. They get 3 out of 4 in Arlington. That means they're only 3 back as we get ready, almost ready for that all-star break. A little more baseball before that. Rangers are in Boston right now. The Astros are hosting Colorado. But the real story in the AL West, it might be the team that's just fallen off, and maybe they've fallen off for good, and that's the Angels. They put Trout on the IL with one of the weirdest broken wrists I've ever seen in watching baseball. And then in the same game, well, in the next game, I guess it was, Ohtani and Rendon go out with injuries, not as serious. Rendon ends up with some kind of a back issue, I think it was. Ohtani gets a blister that had developed. They had an issue with a fingernail thing with him, a split nail. They tried to fix that, and they end up causing a blister by doing that. So they don't know how long Ohtani and Rendon will be out. But the Angels are now 7 back as we come out of the long weekend. So
they're done.
I think they may be, and a lot of people predicted that they would back out eventually. This may be the thing that does that, but that Houston win, holding on, they almost blew a 10-2 lead, but they didn't. That was a huge win. So ultimately, Houston gains 2 games over the long weekend. 3 feels a lot more reasonable than 5 if I'm an Astros fan today.
Man, the MLB season is a gauntlet each and every year. And just to make it out healthy into the postseason when October comes around, just to give yourself a chance, like that's a blessing in itself. So to see all of those Angels go down, their best players, man, I feel bad for Mike Trout. Like he's going straight to Cooperstown. That's an obvious thing. But has he ever been in the postseason?
Well, that's one of the things too, and I don't know if he has, but then I saw the stat yesterday. It's 3 or 4 years in a row now he can't play in the All-Star game because he's hurt.
Yeah, he's always injured too,
always
now.
Banged up. And you're right, I know he's postseason at all, maybe, but I know never been anywhere close to the World Series. But you're right, maybe he's never even been to the postseason.
No, the closest thing he got to the postseason was being in the championship of World Baseball Classic and striking out against his teammate Shohei in the finals.
You're right.
That's the closest he's ever been.
That is crazy. All right, so a lot of stuff going on. We've also talked NBA free agency. Let's get back into some recruiting discussion on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. It is Wednesday. We do it every day, every Wednesday about this time with Justin Wells of Inside Texas and On3.com. Excuse me. He's at Justin Wells 2424 on Twitter as well. Justin, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, trying to clean up all these fireworks. Yesterday was crazy. We had a neighborhood party. We had fireworks. We had sparklers. We had food. And we had a Jordan Washington commitment, man. It's been busy.
Yeah, it has been. And that's exactly where I was going to start with you. Over the weekend, you had the 3 verbal commitments on Saturday for Texas, and then Jordan Washington made it a 4th of July verbal commitment. Which one jumps out to you the most? Obviously, they're all impressive in their own way, but is there one that jumps out to you today more than the others?
Not really, because they were all expected. They were all lined up to happen. There was no surprises. That's a hard question to ask. I will say one that really jumps off the page is Jordan Johnson-Rebel. You locking up one of the top safeties in the country out of Bradenton, Florida, IMG Academy guy. He's a Fort Worth native, grew up around Corian Gibson and those and Manny Muhammad and Jonte Cook and Colin Simmons. They all know each other. They're all friends. And so I like, if Texas fans want to get excited, you should be with Jordan Johnson-Rebel jumping in the mix, because he may have some stroke and some influence on some other key elite prospects in this cycle.
Jay Wells, talk to me about Alex January, D lineman from Duncanville. This is a big-time commit for Steve Sarkisian and crew, but the thing that sticks out for me is him being a Duncanville kid. That might help Colin Simmons make a decision on signing with or committing to the University of Texas, with those guys both being teammates.
Yeah, that's what it looks like on the surface, but if you know both of those guys, they're friends. They're teammates, they're competitors, but one doesn't have anything to do with the other. If anything, Colin went over to Alex that day and shook his hand and gave him a hug and told him he was proud of him and said, now I got to make my decision. And Alex isn't really the type that's going to try to influence Colin, because Colin is an alpha male, and you don't really get to influence him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's savvy. He knows how to go through this process. I don't think they help each other. What helps each other is all of those Dallas-Fort Worth kids, all those Metroplex kids. Because Colin was hosted by freshmen, Anthony Hill, Jonte Cook, in a group with Manny Muhammad. And so that's where you see the help. Now with Alex January, that's a kid you take when you're preparing to enter the SEC. 6'5", 322 pounds, was a multi-sport kid for years, was a really good first baseman. If you ever check out some of his clips over the last few years, he looked like a miniature Frank Thomas. I mean, the kid could absolutely crank it, but decided to focus on football for his career, quit baseball last year, and had a great season helping Duncanville to their first state championship under Reginald Samples. The thing you got to know about January also is his father, Mike, played at Texas. So he's a Longhorn legacy. He's been growing up in Burnt Orange. He's been attending games since he was a kid. His older brother attends Texas on an academic scholarship, and he's only 16 years old. And this is a kid that was starting on the defensive line at Duncanville when he was 15 years old. And to put that into to understand the magnitude of that is what people need to get, because Duncanville only puts grown men on their offensive defensive line. That's the only – you have to have – I mean, you get carded before you run out to the D-line for Duncanville, because you have to be a man. You have to be up to certain specs. Alex January checked all those boxes. Now he's a Horn. That recruitment's wrapped up, and the D-line dominoes will probably begin to fall soon.
Yeah, that is big in a lot of ways. Justin Wells, Inside Texas, joining us. Justin, I was just talking about in another segment some of the pass catchers, not only for Texas but for Texas A&M. I think it's such an important thing in this college football to get big-time pass catchers and then obviously get them developed to where the NFL may want them, like they've wanted Bama guys and LSU guys and Ohio State and things like that. Talk to me about Washington and Livingstone and how important you think they're going to be for Sarkisian, and obviously what he's already got going in the receiving part of it.
Yeah, Livingstone is, if Livingstone and Pretty DeBose are your floors, and I'm not saying they are, but for this class, they're already polished and buffed. These are two guys that can stretch the field. If you noticed in the 2023 cycle, they went for the smaller, quicker, more twitchy guys. Your Jonte Cook, your Ryan Niblitz, your DeAndre Moore. This cycle, they went for the long guys. They need some guys that can stretch the field. Last year, one of the biggest hindrances of the Texas offense was the not having Isaiah Nayor, was having to put Xavier Worthy out of position and trying to make him something he really wasn't, just because he's a teammate and he's a team guy and he's going to do that. Nayor missing last year was huge. So what did Sark do? He snagged A.D. Mitchell out of the portal, which was probably the biggest one he could have gotten. And that's a guy that's already impressed in the spring and already looks good this summer. And so he's that field stretcher that makes this offense tick. Parker Livingstone is exactly that. 6'4", 189 pounds. He used to run track. Phenomenal baseball player. His older brother is a pitcher at Texas Tech, so it's in their family. He's got a great family support system. This decision was made a long time ago. He flat out told me, when Texas offers you a scholarship and invites you for an official visit, you say yes. And so with DeBose and Parker Livingstone, I think they get those vertical guys that they need for this offense on the outside to stretch it. With Jordan Washington, you're getting a guy that you're getting a tight end with a lot of athleticism, who loves to block. And listen, that's the thing to find. You can find these athletic tight ends these days because they're becoming more and more prevalent. The NFL is building around them. You're seeing so much more of it in college and high school now. You can find those guys, but it's hard to find the inline guy that can also be a flex guy. The inline guy that likes to hit to crack helmets, but at the same time can run a little 8-yard route on a 3rd and 7 and get you and move the chains. That's what Washington offers. Also, if you're bored, check out his basketball clips. You guys know me. If there is a football player that plays basketball and they're skilled in basketball and that translates onto the football field, I'm already in love. And Jordan Washington adds that. He does a lot of damage on the basketball court, and I think that will translate at the next level. If there's one position in football where that does, it's the tight end position. A lot of people can thank Antonio Gates for opening that box. But I love Jordan Washington as a get. Alabama came in late to try to swoop and get him, didn't work. Texas A&M came in late, tried to swoop, didn't work. Jeff Banks did a tremendous job with the spring eval. Washington set off a few fireworks of his own last night committing to Texas.
Yeah, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, all those guys that used to hoop and become tight ends had really good careers. I'm with you right there, Jay Wells. Let me ask you about St. Louis's own Ryan Wingo, 5-star wide receiver that Sark and the guys are looking at. How deep is this recruitment, and can you see him making a commitment very soon?
Okay. Mr. Wingo has been a very, very popular subject lately on the Texas message boards, and for good reason. He is an explosive, fun, good-looking wide receiver out of East St. Louis. Listen, this guy is, I want to say, in the range 6 foot, 6'1", 215 pounds. He's already built up pretty well. He's already got a college-ready body in some instances, and he's a guy that I think could come in and make an early impact. Texas is in a really good spot with him today. They've caught up on ground with Tennessee and with Georgia and with Missouri and some other schools. The guy's got 25, 30 offers nationwide. I like where Texas sits today. I don't think he's got a decision upcoming. I think originally he wanted to stretch it, through the season and maybe decide November, December. As of right now, he hasn't changed from that, but I think you'll see that could potentially be accelerated over the next couple months. What you'll see a lot happening, guys, with the way recruiting is in football these days, they take the June officials, they jump on their spots in July and August, and then any of the other players, they'll take it throughout the season, and it kind of goes along with that pattern. And so I don't know if Wingo would be ready for a decision soon. He still claims he would like to wait and make take the process a little bit longer. But right now, Texas couldn't have done a better job when they brought him in for his official. Texas couldn't have done a better job of setting the table for him. And there is just something alluring about catching footballs from Arch Manning that I think has his attention. And so at the end of the day, Texas is in a great spot with Ryan Wingo, so much more so than they were, say, a month ago today. But that's a long race. And unless he decides to accelerate his decision timeline, I think that one's going to go a little bit further than the rest. And so Texas just has to stay the course.
Talking with Justin Wells, Inside Texas. All right, Justin, I know if there's anybody that can take the silliness of an internet story and turn it into something serious in football, it's you. So tell me what you thought, considering what you do for a living, when you saw the picture of the Texas quarterback room flexing in the weight room. What'd you think?
I thought my first thought was those guys are having a good time. Those are some happy kids.
Yeah,
those kids are enjoying life right now. They enjoy each other. That quarterback room is in such a good, positive place. That was my first thought. Those kids are having fun. My second thought was Troy Becton's earning his checks. Like that, some of those guys. Malik Murphy, if it doesn't work out at quarterback, he can always go to defensive end. He's as big as one. And then you got Arch Manning, who's starting to try to look like get into the world of bodybuilding. Goodness gracious! I think someone may have commented that they didn't think his arm strength was good enough. Well, he fixed that, and so. honestly, man, I think it was funny. I knew the internet would have fun with it. I love that Malik Murphy put that out. But ultimately, guys, that's what it's about. They're having fun. Guys don't get together in position rooms and do that kind of stuff if they don't like being around each other. And I'm telling you, that's what you want on campus. That's what you want in this program. That's what we talk about all the time with the culture and the buy-in, is when guys like each other and they play for each other and they help out each other. That's the difference in an 8-9 win season and a 10, 11, 12 win season. That's the difference. And so those guys are having a good time. Torrey Becton's earning his check. If Malik Murphy doesn't make it as a quarterback, he could always wrestle in the WWE because he could be Booker Washington's sidekick or something. They're just jacked. And so tip of the cap to Torrey Becton. It looks like he's getting doing his due diligence, and it looks like Sark and CDC is getting their money's worth.
Yep.
Jay Wells, Big 12 Media Day is next week, next Wednesday. Chad and I will be up there at Jerry World. What are you looking forward to when hearing Sark and the rest of the Big 12 coaches, especially with the new 4 teams coming in?
I'm looking forward to the fact that Texas is on the first day of Big 12 Media Days for the first time in my life. I've covered that event for 10 years, and Texas has always been the second day, which meant you had to show up 2 days before, sit through a bunch of other team stuff before we actually got to anything that involves Texas. So I'm being honest. I'm tickled that they're the first day. I'm tickled that we can get good content from the first day, and we ain't got to worry about all that other stuff. The other stuff can just kind of flow like it may. What am I looking forward to the most is, this is Texas' last run in the Big 12. How many times do you think Sark's going to get asked that question? How many times do you think these players are going to get asked that question? Also, there's 14 teams now, so there's going to be a lot more people, a lot more staff, a lot more media, a handful of more players. I really don't know what to expect. I don't because it's going to be the last time that they host one of these. After next week, Ian Boyd, Joe Cook, and myself will be headed to SEC Media Days for 2024 next year, and so this is going to be our last go around. I hope that Sark and those guys come in with the confidence that they've had all spring. I like the guys that they brought to talk. I've got questions for each one of them. I think it was a great mixture of guys to bring that have earned it and deserved it. And so I'm just looking forward to fun. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. I know my man Bobby Burton's going to come from Nashville down to Arlington and hang out with us at the Big 12 Media Days. And so I'm just looking forward to a good time and a see you later to the Big 12 Conference Media Days setup. This is going to be my last one, and hope to make it big.
There you go. That's Justin Wells, InsideTexasOn3.com, at JustinWells2424 on Twitter. Justin, we always appreciate it. Obviously, next Wednesday you will be busy, and we will, if this time works, we'll do that. If not, we'll work with you. I know it's going to be a lot of good, crazy fun, but we look forward to seeing you in Arlington, brother.
10-4, brother. Nothing but love.
All right.
Thanks, Jay Wells.
There you go. Justin Wells. Yeah, we'll do what we can. We'll see if this time works. That's what we'll do. But Justin, for the last few years, has sat down with us live at Big 12 Media Days to let us know. So it's his last run and Texas' last run at the Big 12 Media Days.
Longhorn fans, let me just settle y'all down a little bit because I know y'all could get a little too happy way too fast. Parker Livingstone, just because he's white and plays wide receiver, don't compare him to Jordan Shipley. Please don't put that on that young brother. Please don't. He don't deserve that. He don't need that. Just let him come in and be his own Parker Livingstone. I get it. He a country boy, likes the guitar, likes the fish and stuff. Like, I get it. He a country boy just like Jay Ship was. But please, just because of the color of his skin, don't think he's the next Jordan Shipley. Jake Smith, that didn't work out at all. Y'all saw how that went? Everybody was saying, oh, he's going to be the new Jordan Shipley, this and that. No, please do not put that pressure on him. Just don't. He could be good, but let him be his own Parker Livingstone. That's all I got to say.
That is fair. That is fair. Yes, Parker and Jordan Washington, the last couple of commits in that 24 class, getting Texas up to 12 commitments. We'll keep talking about that. Also up next, 2 big flex commitments over the holiday weekend. We'll tell you where a couple of area guys have committed, plus NBA free agency rolling on. We're going to get more of Zay's thoughts about that, and we'll keep rolling through this Wednesday. Hope you had a great long weekend. I know we did, and we're back at it today on The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Apple leasing. If you're like me and you have a decent commute to work, it's always good to have a little vacation time when you're not driving that route. And that helps to kind of get you, revitalized a little bit. But I got to tell you, getting back in the car today and heading back to work, it was a little bit better because of the great car I have from Apple Leasing. Apple Leasing can make it easy for you, easiest and safest way to get a new car. And you might think when you hear Apple Leasing that might not apply to you if you have a long drive to work, but that's not true because they can curtail those leases. They can customize a lease plan just for you. It's what they've been doing for folks all the way back to the mid 80s. Whatever it is that you need, they can come up with a lease that fits your needs. Any make, any model, any car, any truck, any SUV, get you the discounts and incentives that the dealers would get you, all the rebates that are available. They'll figure those out. Might be something still left over from a 4th of July sale. They'll be able to figure that out for you as well. So call 346-9977. That's 346-9977. Whether you have a long commute or a short commute, they'll figure out what's best for you. 346-9977 or go to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
All right, rolling through a Wednesday. We got some updated Big 12 news coming up for you here in a second. Chad and Zay with you on this Wednesday. Isaiah back from his honeymoon. Rested and recuperating. Still getting recuperated from some of those drinks that he had.
Whew.
Got into those frozen beverages in Cancun. They came to get him. Now, did your wife do okay with the beverages?
Oh, yeah, she's fine.
She's a pro.
She's a pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, you should have practiced a little bit. That's what
Yeah,
you should have
you're
done.
right.
Should have worked out a little bit in the couple weeks before you left.
Yeah. Should have done something.
Should have hit a daiquiri factory. Do they still have the daiquiri place down on 6th Street for the kids?
For the kids. I'm pretty sure they got a little something going on. But yeah, I felt like Jordan coming out of baseball, just jumping right into the playoffs.
Yeah, that had-
95.
Yeah, a little tough.
Yeah, very tough.
Little crampable moments.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. All right, who we got here coming back from the break?
Isley Brothers,
Ooh.
work to do.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah,
Very
like
nice.
little Ron Isley,
Yeah.
Wednesday
Great voice.
afternoon.
Big time voice. Isley Brothers, Naked Eyes, and Gary U.S. Bonds on the show today. We got a lot going on. Just had Justin Wells on talking some Longhorn stuff. And just breaking here this hour in the last 30 minutes or so, they have released, the Big 12 Conference has released the media preseason football team. We'll tell you how many Longhorns are on that coming up here in a sec. Plus, we will tell you about some big commitments in the area for a couple of the area stars we've been talking about. Let's get today's Flex segment. Here we go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit brainvault.com and join the movement.
All right, and a couple of big names we've been talking about. One of them is Michael Uini, the big offensive lineman from Copper's Cove. He was down to Georgia, Bama, and Michigan. I theorize that it might be Michigan because he gave his brother some love on social media for announcing an offer to Michigan, but nope. In the end, it's the Dogs for Mr. Uini. He's going from, I guess he's comfortable being a dog because that's what they are out in Copper's Cove, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going dog to dog. He's going to be a Georgia Bulldog. Congrats to Michael Uini, one of the stud offensive linemen in this area. Every big-time team wants him. Georgia is getting him. The other area guy to give some love to is Peyton Morgan from Weiss. I told you on Friday that the 4-star DB was going to make his choice, and he had it all whittled down to 5 schools: SMU, Nebraska, Texas Tech, TCU, and Arizona. And in the end, he's going to be following Mr. Hammond from Hutto out to Lubbock. He's picked Texas Tech. Congrats to Peyton Morgan, who is picking Texas Tech. And also a quick shout-out to Will Hammond. I showed you today, Zay, I was looking at ESPN.com, and they were showing a little article about commits that you needed to know, like a national scale kind of thing. And Will Hammond's picture is right there on the front because of what he did at the Elite 11, the fact that he's now up to a 4-star rating. We talked about that the last week or so. So Will Hammond starting to get known out there, and they were pointing out how big a commitment that is now for Texas Tech to have.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, Joey McGuire, he's really doing his thing down there. And with Texas leaving the Big 12, Texas Tech, there's going to be the top dog when it comes to this state and being in the Big 12 and getting guys to, jump ship and maybe flip their recruitments from A&M and University of Texas to go down there in Lubbock. And when you got guys like Will Hammond, who's just, his stock's getting higher and higher and higher, it seems like every week. Can't wait to see what the Hutto Hippos do this year on the field. But yeah, Joey McGuire, he is doing this thing down in Lubbock, and they're going to look to have a pretty big season season this year in 2023. I'm going to be eager to talk to some of the Tech people next week when we get down there, Big 12 Media Days, because I know a lot of those guys are excited, especially with Tyler Shuck and the end of the year that he had in 2022 in the Texas Bowl when they just made Ole Miss completely embarrass Lane Kiffin's crew. Texas Tech, they're doing some pretty big things.
No doubt. So big announcements for kids in this area. And again, Flex segment every day at 1:30. Remember, let the Flex crew know if there's somebody you think needs to be on that All Flex watch list. I got a feeling like Ewini and Morgan may end up on the All Flex watch list, if not the All Flex team this year again. So give us those names, people you want to make sure that Flex is aware of at FLXATX on social media. The week of July 24th is when we will unveil that All Flex watch team for 2023. Speaking of a team, how about the Big 12 announcing their media preseason football team? It is out now, and there are a few Longhorns on the list. If I'm counting correctly, 3 on offense, 3 offensive Texas players. Zay, you got this in front of you? You want to guess?
Yeah, I got it.
You see it. Okay. Texas, no big surprise here. Xavier Worthy is on this all-offensive team. Jatavian Sanders is on the team. And Kelvin Banks getting love on the offensive line. Those 3 guys on offense. Defensively, Byron Murphy is on the list. Jalen Ford is there. And that is it for the defensive side. So just 2 guys on defense. And, Zay, I'm sure there'll be a lot of talk amongst the media because preseason Defensive Player of the Year is Jalen Ford. A lot of those media members would tell you he should have been the guy last year.
Where were we last year?
But he's the preseason guy this year. Preseason Offensive Player of the Year is interesting to me. Jalen Daniels, the quarterback out of Kansas. And then Trayshawn Ward, running back from Kansas State, newcomer of the year.
Yeah, he's the grad transfer from Florida State that had some pretty good seasons up there in Tallahassee.
Okay. Anything stand out to you? I'm just kind of skimming through this list here. Those Longhorns are pretty expected. I guess you could – if you're a Texas fan, do you get upset Quinn Ewers isn't up there, or was it just too inconsistent?
Too inconsistent. Okay. And Jalen Daniels was very consistent last year. Hell, if there was a second team, I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn Ewers wasn't on that and they threw Will Howard on there just because what we saw Will Howard do with Adrian Martinez going out and them winning the Big 12 Kansas State last season. I would say not having any defensive backs on here is interesting. I think Ryan Watts, him being that 6'3" cornerback, I think he could have an excellent breakout year on his way to the draft next season. And just because I understand this with his injury history, Jalen Catalon. I expect him to have a big-time season, and when he was healthy and was a freshman at Arkansas, he was an all-SEC player. So for him not to even be considered on the, preseason defensive team, that's interesting, but how can you get an award when you're never playing? So I understand that. Byron Murphy, I expect him to have a huge year. Him being on there, not surprising. Kelvin Banks, he should be on here for the next 2 years because that's the only time we going to have him the next 2 years. Don't expect him to be here for a senior year. He's going to make some big-time money in the NFL when the 2025 draft comes around. And, I expect Xavier Worthy and JT Sanders to be there. So I'm good with it. I'm not tripping.
In terms of the new teams that are in the Big 12, I see BYU's got an offensive lineman. Let me see if I can give this a shot. Kingsley Suamataia.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, sure. He's on the preseason list. That's the only one on the offensive side. Defensively, Cincinnati's Dante Corleone on the defensive line, and then Cincinnati's punter, Mason Fletcher, makes the all Big 12 preseason team. I think I don't see any UCF guys, and I don't see any Houston guys on the list. So those are your media preseason football team. We'll be going through all of the guys that are on there, but again, 3 Longhorns on offense, 2 on defense. And Jalen Ford is your defensive preseason player of the year, according to the media. Now we'll wait for that official media list where we find out, does the media ultimately pick Texas to win this conference? I'm guessing they're going to do that, Zay, because now if TCU was bringing Max Duggan back, maybe you lean towards the Frogs there, but
Right.
I got a feeling like Dykes and TCU, I got a feeling like Kansas State and other teams, they're going to be able to develop that chip on the shoulder because I think the media is going to give Texas that love.
Yeah, I think they will too. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, if he stays healthy for Oklahoma, maybe they can make some noise, but we know Brent Venables, he has all types of problems with that defense and the way they looked last year. And him being a defensive coach, I expect him to be better this upcoming year, but yeah, just Will Howard and Tyler Shugg, both of those guys, older quarterbacks. So I think that puts Texas Tech and Kansas State in the discussion, plus the guys that they've brought back. But hey, we've been talking about Texas for obviously ever now, coming into this season. It's hard not to put them there. And I'm not just being a homer because we work for the station. Like, it's hard with the roster that they've built and the recruits that they brought in. Steve Sarkisian in their third year. It's going to be interesting to see people not choose Texas this year. But Sark's track record and his just overall record as a head coach ain't the best. We saw Quinn Ewers last year. He wasn't the best. And, all those types of things that come into a lot of these decisions where people might not think Texas could get over that hump and win the Big 12 on their way out to the SEC. So I'm eager to find out what the media says, but yeah, you should use all this as motivation. The guys that didn't make this list, Quinn Ewers, etc., use that as motivation and taking it into this year like, oh, we're being disrespected. Even though a lot of people are high on us, we're still being disrespected, and you got to use anything you can to put yourself over the hump.
All right, coming up at 2:05, Joe Cook of Inside Texas. More on the Texas recruiting gets from the weekend. Also coming up, before we get to where we at in society, we'll hit you with a little bit more of that preseason all Big 12 team. Go over those skill position, not just Jalen Daniels at Kansas, but the running backs and wide receivers as a whole that the Big 12 media thinks will be big this year. We got all that coming up. Stay with us. Zay is back from his honeymoon, and we got the first Where We At in Society with Zay. Who knows what he'll want to get into next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Love that bass. That is nice. Chad and Zay with you on a Wednesday. I do not recognize it yet, though. What do you got, Zay?
Change. A Lover's Holiday.
Change the name of the band?
Change is the name of the band.
Oh, okay.
A little old school funk for y'all.
Yeah, it is. It's good. Good bass. Change, the Isley Brothers, Naked Eyes, and Gary U.S. Bonds already on the show today. We just told you in the last few minutes about the Big 12 preseason media team. It is out there as chosen by the media. 3 Longhorns on offense, including Jatavian Sanders, including Kelvin Banks, and a receiver we'll get to in a second. Defensively, Byron Murphy and Jalen Ford. Jalen is the defensive preseason player of the year. Probably should have been the defensive player of the year at the end of last year, but that's a whole other deal.
Maybe the hose job.
Maybe the media will figure it out if he has that kind of season again. So the other Longhorn on offense would be Xavier Worthy. Let's run down the skill guys. Jalen Daniels at quarterback. You got Richard Reese from Baylor and Devin Neal from Kansas as your running backs. Ben Sanat from Kansas State if you need a fullback. And then your wide receivers are Brennan Presley from Oklahoma State, Jaron Bradley from Texas Tech, and Xavier Worthy is the third receiver on this team. Those are in no particular order. They list those as Presley, Worthy, Bradley, if that matters to you. And I mentioned the tight end is Jatavian Sanders. So Longhorns have 2 of those skill guys. So remember, Big 12 Media Days coming up next Wednesday and Thursday. We are planning to have 3 of our 4 shows there on the Wednesday that Texas is there, 10 o'clock to 7. So we'll go through Light the Tower, through our show, and then through Ball Don't Lie as well. Hopefully getting you some cool coverage and interviews and stuff as the Longhorns go through Big 12 Media Days one more time before they head off to the SEC. And as Justin Wells mentioned earlier this hour, it is a rarity that Texas is the first day. Normally they save Texas till that second day. This year, they're going Oklahoma on the second day. Longhorns go on that first day. So they're trying to be fair to the new teams and, not punish Texas and Oklahoma on the way out or whatever. So Longhorns get to get up there on Wednesday, get everything taken care of. And in fact, we'll kind of do the same thing. We're going to go do the shows Wednesday, but then we're going to come back here for Thursday. We'll obviously be talking about day 2, but we wanted to make sure we were up there the day the Longhorns were. So all that's coming up next Wednesday for the shows, and then next Wednesday and Thursday ultimately for Big 12 Media Days. Joe Cook coming up from Inside Texas. We'll talk some recruiting and get his thoughts on this preseason football list that just came out in the last hour or so. Right now, though, let's welcome Zay back. Where are we at in society? Here we go.
Where are we at in society today?
Welcome back, Isaiah Collier, from your honeymoon. You look all refreshed.
It's good to be back.
Rocking some, I don't know if I've ever seen you wear that color.
You like this little salmon?
Kind of a pink, kind of a salmon.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's
kind of bright.
Yeah, a little bright. It's going well with the complexion, though. Can't knock it. My wife likes it. That's all that matters.
Oh, sometimes that is all that matters.
I've tried so many different colors since I've been with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like green that I never thought I'd rock. This salmon.
Yeah.
Maybe a teal every once in a while, but she says it looks good.
That's it.
That's it. That's all I need.
Sometimes we perform for an audience of 1.
Exactly.
We just want to know what she likes.
Yeah, so F y'all who are hating out there on the Specs text line. We know I got the haters out there. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
But anyways, Chad, have you heard about the cocaine found at the White House?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Cocaine at the White House.
Cocaine at the White House. They found a strange, mysterious white bag at one of the restrooms at the White House, and they're trying to break down who it maybe belonged to. And they figured out it was the cocaine.
Really?
Yeah, pretty wild stuff.
Okay.
So I sent you a list from betonline.ag.
Oh my God.
Who put out betting odds on whose cocaine it might be.
Oh, this is amazing.
So it starts with, obvious reasons, Hunter Biden plus 200.
That's the plus. That's a favorite. Okay.
Now, why are we talking about this, Chad? Because there's a lot of sports figures on here that you could bet on to maybe, it being that person that was trying to have a good time at the White House.
And maybe it's sports figures that have made the trip. So we're probably talking about championship level.
Championship level.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I'm with you. So Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden.
That's a name that popped into my head. The next name did not pop into my head initially, though.
Oh, it definitely popped into my head.
Really?
Yep. Plus 800, Travis Kelce.
Oh, come on.
You saw how turned up he was. He went over there on the podium and stuff. Patrick Mahomes had to say, yo, cool out, bruh.
Oh,
We can't have you saying no crazy stuff. He was wearing that ugly-ass devil red suit.
Uh-huh.
Like he was on one. He's had the sunglasses on. When you have the sunglasses on, I know you might be outside or not, but you never know how them eyelids be looking. They could be just pitch red. They could be Michael Jordan yellow. You never know. So, yo, Travis Kelce, we know he's a wild boy, even though he might be the greatest tight end of all time. He's a wild boy.
This will do nothing but help his reputation.
Probably.
Being second on that list.
He's second on that list.
This will just help the rep for Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
After Travis Kelce's like one of the Jonas brothers, which I don't know how that's getting thrown in there. Like, we need to be more specific.
Yeah, I don't know if I guess maybe they were just there is why they would be brought up.
I didn't know the Jonas brothers partied that hard.
I didn't realize that either. Like, why? And then the next on the list are Angelina Jolie, Maddox Jolie Pitt, which I guess is one of their kids, and then Ariana Maddox.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Maybe that's another one of their kids. I'm not sure, but why? They're all at plus 1,200. Were they just there? Is that what it is? Why would you assume they would do that? I also like that I can get the plus 1,400 on a member of the LSU Lady Tigers.
I appreciate that one. Because, hey, I saw old boy down in Cancun from Baton Rouge. They like to party.
Yeah.
We all know LSU people, they like to party.
They really do.
And they take the party with them wherever they go. Ask that bar in Omaha that sold all those Jell-O shots.
Yeah, over $320,000.
Stupid. Yeah. Just a stupid amount. So I wouldn't put it past Kim Mulkey and that crew. But, yeah, then you see names like Snoop Dogg, Elton John, which he way too old to be doing that. Sierra's on the list. Matthew McConaughey plus 2,500.
Wow. See, I didn't click on the list. I didn't realize
the list
there's
a list. This was Patrick Mahomes plus 2,500. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady? What are we doing? I like that Jill and Joe Biden are at the bottom. Do you see where they are? They're down there at the plus 15,000.
Well, y'all see how sleepy Joe be looking sometimes. He might need a pick-me-up every once in a while.
Oh, my God.
He might need a little sniff just to pick him back up and, getting him going a little bit. But, yeah, man, it's a pretty wild story that they found cocaine at the White House. I've never heard nothing like this.
And also, if I'm Snoop Dogg, can I be offended here? Because, Willie's not on this list because it's cocaine and not pot. When did Snoop get connected with cocaine?
Yeah.
If I'm Snoop, can I be offended here?
Yeah. Now, if this was a dime bag of the Chronic, then Snoop should be first on the list.
Yeah, then Snoop and Willie should both be on your list.
Yeah.
But come on now.
Which I'm sure somebody was smoking the good when Obama was in office. I'm like, Beezy, he's a cool cat. I'm sure he let somebody, especially when it became legal, I'm sure he let some celebrities smoke a little Chiba in there every once in a while. Not out in the open where you'd be videotaped, but...
Right, because Willie's got that all-time story where supposedly he smoked pot on top of the White House, with the snipers.
What?
Not like the snipers were smoking it, but up on top of the White House. That he was smoking pot.
Was this the Reagan era? When was this?
This was the Carter administration, I want to say.
Okay.
I think Carter.
Okay.
Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, Willie Nelson fans. I think that's right. That's a great list, though. That is a great list. I love this generic one. An Olympic gold medalist plus 2,500. Huh? What do you mean an Olympic gold medalist? What is that? The hell is that? And Paris Hilton. How did Paris get on this list?
She likes to party.
Was she at the White House? Maybe have all these people been there? Andy Reid plus 10,000 was funny to me, too. That's funny. You really think Andy Reid is doing rails of cocaine at the White House? Bringing a bag of Coke? No. That's not what he's doing.
Oh, Andy Reid said, hey, I've been here before. It wasn't the best time. If I'm going back, I'm bringing me a little something. something.
Things got a little boring last time. We need to fire it up. Just to take it to the next level. They say you got to keep coming back and try to, better yourself every time. There you go. If you really want to bet on who owns the cocaine found in the White House. You can do that.
I will always say this. Someone who's never done cocaine, never will, just shooting anything up my nose. Like, I have a nasal spray in my pocket, and I have to be careful with that. But to find out how many people do cocaine in your adult life is one of the most fascinating things that I never thought was a thing as a kid. Like, when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, yeah, Scarface, Blow with Johnny Depp, those movies, fire, love those movies.
You thought those were the only people doing it?
That's it. Or people in Miami, that's it.
It was all for like organized crime and rock stars.
People I went to high school with found out they doing it on the red. People making some big time money. Like, it's a big time money drug. I get that. But yo, the people who are just out here doing coke, like cigarettes and stuff, just mind blowing. Still, I can't believe it.
There you go.
I can't believe it.
I bet the White House security still can't believe they found some. And we're trying to figure that out.
No, get the cameras.
Hopefully they get it figured out. Remember, Zay is at @ain'tthat_Zay on Twitter. He's got that tweeted out. I just retweeted it at @CHastings1049 if you want to see the list of people that you can bet on as to whether or not it was their cocaine at the White House. I'd be offended if I was a member of that LSU women's basketball team. Same exact odds as the UConn men? Come on, we're crazy Cajuns. At least give us a little bit better odds. A little bit.
The way Kim Mulkey be dressing, she's done some stuff in her day.
I'm just, I don't know. But Kim and Angel, like somebody, give us a little bit better odds. That's all I'll be looking for. All right, so that is out there today on a Wednesday. Coming up, your 2 o'clock hour. Joe Cook of Inside Texas Longhorns get some big-time recruiting news over the weekend with some commits. Plus, we're headed towards Big 12 Media Days, and now we've got the all Big 12 team as picked by the media, and there's a Longhorn that is up for one of the big awards, supposedly. Yeah, it's the one he was supposed to win last year, but at least he's on the preseason side of it this year. We will get to that and more with Joe Cook of Inside Texas coming right up. Plus at 2:30, why today matters on this July 5th. We got to get to this Quinn Ewers meet and greet story, plus more on NBA free agency. Don't move. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, let's go hour number 3 on a Wednesday. It's Chad and Zay is back. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier, back off of his honeymoon. That means the third hour starts with a beat that he chooses for you. What do you got, Zay?
Eminem, Role Model, off the classic Slim Shady LP, the first album.
It's a nice liquidy sound.
Oh, I love this song.
Got a great fluid kind of sound to it.
Yeah, this is M in his bag completely, where he's just talking outlandish things. And
No. Marshall? I always felt like they needed to get him out of his shell a little bit more.
Yeah.
I always wondered what the first person, what's the first, uptight person in a studio that ever heard him just go off? Like, they had no idea who he was. And they're just there. They're like a sound tech. They're just making sure everything's hooked up right. I can imagine their eyes bugging out of their head when they heard that guy the first time.
Oh, yeah. This dude literally says on this song, I came to the club drunk with a fake ID. Don't you want a girl to be just like me? I've been with 10 women who had HIV. Like, who says that?
I know. It was death.
He's one of the greatest rappers of all time. It's incredible.
Unbelievable. All right, an Eminem beat to get us started this hour. We're going to dig back into some Longhorn stuff and Big 12 stuff, for that matter. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe Cantina hotline. Normally, we talk to him on Mondays, but thankfully, we had Monday off. So he was nice enough to jump in with us on this Wednesday. He is Joe Cook of Inside Texas, on3.com, at Joseph Cook 89 on Twitter. Joe, hope you had a good 4th of July, man. How are you?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Man, thank you for the time. Obviously, Big 12 Media Days coming up. So let me start there. In the last hour or so, we've had the all preseason football team put out by the media for the Big 12. Jaylan Ford gets Defensive Player of the Year preseason. Obviously, a lot of folks think he should have got it postseason last year. 3 guys on offense, 2 on defense, including Ford. What'd you think of the all Big 12 team today, and was there any glaring, screw-ups for you?
I think it was about right, with at least with the inclusions from the Longhorns. I could probably hear a case maybe for Ryan Watts or maybe even Jaron Thompson, but there's some good players in this league, and sometimes I like to try to take off the burnt orange glasses and make sure everybody gets their recognition. And Kobe Bryant's really good, TJ Tampa, Kobe Savage, Kendall Daniels, Josh Newton. I think that's a really good DB core. I really don't have, like I said, I don't have much of a problem with the players they included as far as, on the team. A little surprising to see Oklahoma only have 1, but that's what happens when you're 6 and 7. My issue is maybe with a handful of media members who didn't include, there should have been more than 1 unanimous selection, and congratulations to Xavier Worthy than that. But tell me why wouldn't you have Jaylan Ford on your ballot at all? And that's not to just, keep it Texas-centric. Let's look at Manhattan, Kansas. Kansas State offensive lineman Cooper Beebe was either a first or a second-team All-American in a handful of different by a handful of different selectors. He was the Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. The fact that he's not unanimous means somebody somewhere, even if the extent of their research is like going to kstatesports.com and seeing what his bio is, determined that a first or second team All-American in the conference's Offensive Lineman of the Year wasn't deserving of a spot on the preseason All Big 12 team. And maybe I'm getting worked up for no real good reason because it's a preseason all-conference team. But, man, not even thinking about Jaylan Ford or Cooper Beebe, and for that matter, even Kelvin Banks, just doesn't make sense. I'm glad that they were included, but, man, it irks me a little bit that there's some members of the media who are out there who thought, yeah, that guy's not one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Or Jaylan Ford may not be one of the top 3 or 4 linebackers in the league. That, maybe it's not worth losing sleep over, but maybe that says a little bit about the media that covers this league. And hey, I know I included him on there. I know I made sure Cooper Beebe was on there and Jaylan Ford was on there. So Oh, well, we'll learn a little bit more about how it affects their play. Probably never, because it probably won't.
Yeah, Joe, that's a good point. I haven't, thought about it like that. And it maybe could be those teams that are coming in, UCF, BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati, those media members that haven't seen those players that you just named as much, being their first year in the Big 12. But who knows? Everybody has their own opinion and, et cetera, et cetera. Let me ask you this about the 2024 class that Steve Sarkisian is bringing in together from, Jordan Washington, tight end, Parker Livingstone, Alex January, Jordan Johnson, Rubel. Who impresses you the most that's recently committed, these last few days?
I got to side with Alex January. I think it's good that Texas is tapping into IMG Academy with guys like Jordan Johnson Rubel, like Jarrett Gibson, things like that. But you don't really find very many players from the state of Texas who play the position that Alex January does at his size. I mean, he's 6'5", 329, son of a former Longhorn defender and Michael January. And he's pretty skilled. Of course, he's got some help a little bit on the outside with someone like Colin Simmons right off his left or right side coming off the edge, helping him in the Panther defense. But this is someone who played baseball at the 6A level for Duncanville up until I think a year or two ago on their varsity team. And as we know, Duncanville is one of the largest high schools in the state. I don't know what their baseball program is like. But still, it says something that he's got the skill and the dexterity, I guess, and the fine motor skills to still play baseball at 6A level, and still be a quality defensive lineman. So he's probably someone that when you look at rankings, yeah, he'll be kind of on that 3-star, 4-star halfway point or dividing line. But he's got a size that you can't teach, and he's got some traits that you can't teach as well. And I think when you see that, you look at who the market for him was, and you have Miami, you have Florida State, you have Texas A&M, you have Oklahoma, you have LSU. When the market includes those teams, that says just as much, if not more, about who he is and what he is as a prospect compared to what his ranking may be. That was a good pickup for the Horns. But even Parker Washington, that's a good one, gives you a good fit for that boundary receiver role. Someone who can go up and grab a 50-50 deep ball downfield with a 6'4", 189 standing. He's got good speed. Not going to make any of the old, weight room gym rat or coach on the field comparisons, but he's a guy who's got athleticism and he can run and he can make plays with the football. And he too gave up baseball, or he's not giving up baseball, but he's focusing on football down the road instead of making an attempt at being a two-sport guy, because he played pretty well for Lucas Lovejoy in the playoffs this past year. So all in all, when you get this many guys, including some highly rated guys like, top 300 guys like Jordan Johnson Rubel, like Alex January, that makes for a pretty good weekend, and that's what happened. And then you add in Jordan Washington, who dropped last night for the Longhorns, to make it 4 in about a span of 7 days.
Yeah, Joe, you just mentioned Parker Livingstone a little bit there. I watched some film on him and Jordan Washington today. I just like the versatility of both of them. 6'4" and 6'5". Jordan Washington, to me, looks like a guy you could put weight on. But I was just impressed with how many different ways his offense used him, and the same thing for Livingstone. Those guys were all over the field, split out wide, in a slot, flex tight end positions, running, multiple cut routes, double move kind of routes, looking comfortable whether they're cutting to the inside of the field or going to the boundary. I was really impressed with just the versatility of those two guys, long, versatile receivers.
Yeah, and again, like I was saying with January, you look at who the market was for Jordan Washington. Alabama's pursuit is kind of its own unique thing, but Alabama did give him more than just the time of day, and I think that says something. Arizona State recruited him hard. Texas A&M recruited him hard as well, and he included UTSA in his final group, which I think you got to give credit to Jeff Traylor for being in the conversation on that front. But you look at the teams who had pretty steady interest in him, and it include Texas A&M, include Arizona State, included a few others. And yeah, he's I think that, again, like I was saying with January, tight ends are a little bit difficult to rate because so many of these guys, you know, they may be 210 pounds or 220 pounds in high school, and they become these 250-pound guys, kind of like, you know, maybe like Jatavian Sanders was, and can do so much. And Jatavian Sanders was a little bit more highly rated, showed a little bit more receiving ability and overall ability. But that, you know, when Jordan Washington gets maybe 20, 25 pounds, maybe 30 pounds on him, he's going to be a different player. And hopefully the case with all these different tight ends, you want to see that the receiving ability they showcase at their size translates to when they still have 20, 30 pounds more. And, oh, yeah, they can pick up the blocking ability as well in an offense like Steve Sarkisian that demands a lot of blocking from the tight end position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Joe, even though Alex January is his own guy, like you said, it's big time get, his pops being a former Longhorn, so he's grew up in the burnt orange. But him coming out of Duncanville, I can't help but think that has to mean something for Colin Simmons, the edge rusher out of Duncanville that everybody and their mama wants, the blue chip 5-star player, them being on the same team. And yeah, I've never been that highly talented of a recruit when I was at, coming out of high school, but it was, I always wanted to go to the same school as my friends, as my teammates. And you'd like to think both of those guys being on the same D line together, that has to help recruitment with Colin Simmons trying to get him to the 40 acres over LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, if anything, it's just another guy in his ear. And the more positive aspects you can have in a recruitment like the one of Colin Simmons, the better. It's better to have Alex January than to not have him, that's for sure. And there were some mutual schools being considered, like LSU, like you said, like even Miami, Texas A&M, I think to an extent as well. And hey, the things Alex January is going to be saying, the things Alex January is going to be doing, are all going to have a little bit of a burnt orange tint to them, and that can only help with someone like Colin Simmons. And they've done, there's been a lot to help, I think, with Colin Simmons, including picking up that Butts, what Chad should know about him, even though he's in the article, what was it called, the best defensive lineman you've never met, with I think it was Jack Rogers, I forget his name, but he's from South Oak Cliff, South Dallas, and went to Missouri, was just hired as a defensive line specialist, edge specialist, runs trench warfare in the DFW area, and that's someone Colin Simmons knows and is familiar with. So, all these different things going in the right direction for Texas with that Colin Simmons recruitment is always going to be a positive. But hey, whenever you can get a big player like Alex January, that helps for sure as well.
Joe, before we let you go, I'll throw a baseball question at you here because I know you're an Astros guy. I'm a Rangers guy, so we were watching that series closely. Big win in that last game for the Astros, I thought, to make it 3 out of 4. So two-parter here. How big do you think it was for the Astros to have it as a 3-game lead instead of a 5-game lead for the Rangers coming out of that series? And then do you believe with these injuries the Angels are dealing with, are they done now? Back 7 of the Rangers today. Do you think we're going to be forgetting about the Angels?
It's hard to say, but when you lose Trout for a little bit of time and you lose Rendon for a little bit of time, even with Ohtani doing what he's doing, who else is on that team? What else can they provide? And what's that ownership group going to think? And I don't have much faith in the Angels ownership group. But as far as, the Astros and Rangers, hey, here's the thing. I think if you look at the Rangers splits against, more of the quality teams, the above 500 teams, it's not like the Rangers are, beating everybody. They've done well to defeat, the lower quality teams in the MLB, but they're not doing, they're not consistently getting the job done against teams with a little bit more of a pulse, a little bit closer to 500. And I think we saw some evidence of that over the weekend with the Astros and the Rangers. Obviously, I think you can tell based off the way all those series, that entire series went, that both teams desperately need to get to the All-Star break. I know the Rangers are limping a little bit. The Astros certainly are. Christian Javier just hasn't been himself. Altuve was scratched yesterday with what was oblique discomfort, and with the way the Astros described discomfort, who knows if the oblique even exists anymore. Michael Brantley's still, on the who knows if he'll see the field again. There's so many different things for both teams to where they need to get to the All-Star break and get there. But, yeah, to be within striking distance for the Astros, even amid all these different things happening, losing Luis Garcia, Jose Urquidy going down for an amount of time, Jordan, the best offensive player on the team, being out for a little bit, to still be within striking distance and hope those guys come back while still also getting some of your depth guys, guys further down the bench, guys who may be on the 40-man, some meaningful action, and seeing them deliver. That's huge for the Astros, especially when it means that over the last, 80-something games, it's going to be meaningful baseball all the way out. And haven't been able to say that about the AL West in a few years, so should be pretty exciting.
That's true.
Joe, next Wednesday, your last Big 12 media day. It's going to be a weird feeling. Chad and I will both be up there, but what are you looking forward to with all the, the new 4 teams coming in, Texas and OU going out? What are you looking forward to next Wednesday and Thursday?
I really want to see and hear from Xavier Worthy. I know there's going to be a lot of focus about Quinn Ewers and, how's your off season? Where's the hair? Are you ready for this season? Same with Jalen Ford, same with Jordan Whittington. Even Jahdae Barron. I'm excited to hear from him as well. But to be fair, Xavier Worthy, except, after games, has not been a player we've been able to talk to that much. And last year obviously was very up and down, very polarizing for Worthy within the fan base. Again, he was statistically very prolific, led the team in catches, scored 9 touchdowns, led the team in yards. But there were some moments that the stat sheet doesn't reflect where that were pretty low. And of course, we find out in March or April, whenever it was, that he was playing through most of last season, the back half of last season, with a broken hand. Yeah, there were some drops and some problems that were likely the result of that broken hand. But at the same time, we all saw enough during the latter half of last year where there were some things that just a broken hand didn't affect. Turning, finding the ball, sometimes, very rarely some effort plays. I just want to kind of get a grasp for where Worthy's at. For me, he's always struck me as someone who was loyal to Steve Sarkisian, believed that offense would work for him, but believed that offense would get him in the NFL in 3 years. And of course, there's plenty of players in college football who are like that, and there's that's always kind of been a fact of the matter in the sport for a while. If that's his goal and that's his primary goal to get to the league after this year, I kind of want to know what he's learned from last season that's going to help him get there and achieve that dream, and hopefully help the Longhorns for his hopefully help the Longhorns along the way while he's doing it.
Going to be a lot of interesting discussions around Texas next week. That is Joe Cook, Inside Texas on 3.com. And again, Big 12 Media Days next Wednesday and Thursday. Joe is at Joseph Cook 89 on Twitter. Joe, we appreciate you rearranging a little bit of the schedule this week, and we'll hit you on the normal Monday slot and get a little more preview of Big 12 Media Days, if that's cool with you.
Absolutely. Sounds good, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Joe.
Have a great week. That is Joe Cook, and I think he's not going to be the only guy wanting to show up at Jerry World to talk to Xavier Worthy. Thanks to Joe for his time. Up next, let's get into why today matters. It is July 5th. I got a couple folks I got to mention on July 5th. Plus, let's get into this Quinn Ewers story. I can go hang out with Quinn Ewers, and it's a meet and greet, but I have to pay. What? We'll tell you on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk sinus and snoring specialist. Got a little time off, a couple days off to start this week, and it was great sleeping in a little bit more than I normally do. Sinus and snoring specialist made sure since all the way back in 2017 that I'm sleeping really well, whether I'm getting to sleep in a little longer or I'm on more of a regular regimented schedule. I'm getting great sleep. Dr. Slaughter and his crew can make sure you're getting that as well. They've got over 20 years of experience. Dr. Slaughter does in ear, nose, and throat, making sure everything is taken care of. They can really start to let you know what's going on. My first visit is when they showed me how blocked up I was in my nasal passages. 85% blocked was their estimate. It was definitely an interesting thing to see and understand what was going on with me. Now I breathe so much better through my nose, in and out during the night. That is what's key. If you're having those issues, if you know you may have sleep apnea issues, snoring issues, allergies, sinus stuff, maybe it's all coming together to create a bad night's sleep, you need to get it looked at before it gets worse. Call and set up an appointment today and get to resting better. 512-601-0303 or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's sinus and snoring specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, I always love to hear how they edit. So many different ways you can edit stuff out of a song. In this case, it's just like superhero sounds. Sounds like Batman's punching somebody. All right, Zay, should I get this?
Yes.
You sure?
Positive.
DMX.
There we go.
There it is. All right. Whew. Okay.
DMX, Get Out Me Dog, off It's Dark as Hell is Hot. Dark and Hell is Hot. 98 album where he dropped 2 albums in 1 year. Unprecedented.
That's tough.
Very tough.
Yep.
And they both went #1.
Oh, wow.
This video, Chad,
Even
was
tougher.
Yeah, this video was filmed at the legendary New York club, The Tunnel, which you hear stories about the tunnel, ridiculous. Like guys were walking in with blades in their mouth, and yeah, you would have to have inside men just to get your weapons in there. But somehow weapons would get in there, even though security would be out the ass.
Good grief.
And yeah, just a good time in hip hop.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like it. Sounds like it. All right. So DMX joining Change, the Isley Brothers, Naked Eyes, and Gary U.S. Bonds today. Plus, we had an Eminem beat to start the hour. Speaking of the world of hip hop, there is a legend with a birthday today. Got a couple of musical legends that had 4th of July birthdays as well. We'll get to that, but we really need to get you Texas fans this updated information on your starting quarterback, because you can go hang with him, apparently. Let's get into why today matters on July 5. All right, NIL at work. Zay, Longhorn fans can go hang with their quarterback, Quinn Ewers, at an event coming up.
Yep, apparently. I mean, wow, Quinn Ewers. Like, I feel you, dog. Make that paper. On January 22nd, Quinn is hosting...
January 22nd?
July.
There we go.
I'm still getting back in the
That's
swing
okay.
of things. Sorry.
That's all right.
July 22nd.
There we go.
Quinn Ewers is hosting a meet and greet for fans.
Okay.
An evening with Quinn Ewers.
Ooh.
Kids get in, $38.
Wow.
Adults, $283. And VIP,
yes,
$2,312.
Oh, mercy, Quinn.
Proceeds will benefit the nonprofit Merging Vets and Players. But yeah, Quinn Ewers is charging that bag just to say what up to him.
Wow, go ahead, NIL. This is really a put your money where your mouth is situation. If you're a Longhorn fan and you think, man, I would pay, you're out drinking with your buddies, you're drinking at some family function, man, I'd pay blah. If I could just hang out with Quinn Ewers, here you go.
I mean,
here it is.
Yo, for that VIP, like, are me and Quinn going hunting together?
Yeah. Does he get to show me that workout that got him those abs and those arms?
Right.
Can I learn a little bit of that?
Yeah. Do I get to run routes with him?
do I get some personal time with him and Becton?
Yeah.
To get myself in better shape?
Do I get to drive one of his big ass trucks for a little bit? You know, a lot has to come into this.
Yeah.
If you're charging $2,312, that's a hefty penny to just to say what up and get a high five and an autograph.
Will he introduce me to his barber, and can I get a free haircut?
See, there we go.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is it going to be? I hadn't really thought of, the only thing I've ever thought about with this new NIL world is straight up autographs. I think of it old school. I think of it as an appearance where somebody's signing autographs and then you get the charge for those autographs, which I'm sure is out there as well. But this is like a whole nother way to do it. And, the thing is, these guys, they've been doing this kind of stuff for years. They've been going to events for years. The university will set something up and they'll go hang out. And sometimes there's autographs to sign. Sometimes there aren't. There are pictures to get. There are all these people that want to meet you. Oh, there's this booster event. And they want to meet you. So this is just, the modern way of saying, you know what, let's give the quarterback, and obviously trying to help. There's a good cause here. Some of the proceeds are going to that, but I'm guessing some of the proceeds also go to number 3.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get some paper out of it.
Which is the way it should work, because I'm not saying everybody, but this is an event where it's created around him. If he wasn't there, there's really no event. So,
right.
of course, he should get paid. I have no problem with this. I'm not paying the money if I'm a Longhorn fan. I think that's a little steep for me. But there are plenty of fans who are paying for this.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people would pay for Vince Young or Colt McCoy if they were throwing around these prices.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I mean, $2,000 just to get a handshake and say what up, maybe a hug or something.
I need to know what that VIP is.
I
I'm
do
with
too.
you.
I
need
do
to find
too.
out what does my 2,300 get me?
Like, I need at least 15 shirts. You know, he has the new clothing line with the arm and
Ooh,
stuff. That's
yeah.
fire. I'm not gonna lie.
They look good.
It looks
It
good.
looks nice, yeah.
I'm gonna need about 15 of them shirts.
Heck yes.
All dry fit, the best material that he has, what he would wear in practice and stuff like that. I need all of it.
Yeah, make it breathe, Quinn.
Yeah. You
Please.
know what I'm saying?
Breathable. It's hot. It's hot in
Right.
Texas.
Right. You know, maybe the number, Xavier Worthy's phone number, so I can hit him up every once in a while, hit up just random. Maybe Sark, you know, maybe his phone number. With these prices, Quinn, the VIP, it has to be something special. Because the man still, we love Quinn Ewers. I'm expecting him to have a big year, but he still hasn't done much.
How about this? Will Quinn show up to my neighborhood and bring Xavier Worthy with him, and those two guys will team up with like my kids and other neighborhood kids to whip the team from 2 blocks away?
See, that's fair.
Can we do that?
That's fair.
Like that feels VIP to me. Can I have that? Please? Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, he better be teaching me how to throw too.
Yes.
Like, how do I
Right?
have that beautiful quick release that he has? Like, how do I make that happen for me? You know?
Mm-hmm.
I just, woo,
good.
that's a hefty penny.
Good for you, Quinn Ewers. Good for you. The Quinn Ewers meet and greet, Longhorn fans, if you want to look into that. Also today on this July 5th, I do need to say happy anniversary to my parents. This is their anniversary.
Oh, beautiful.
My dad always makes the last Independence Day joke because they got married on July 5th, but they've been married 55 years today.
Wow.
Double nickel, and they actually still like one another. It's crazy. There's a lot of couples still mumbling and grumbling out there, but my parents actually still get along. Like, they can just hang out together and do stuff together. And
When you find the one, you find the one.
yeah, man, good for them. 55 years. So we got to call them today and see what they're doing on their anniversary. If y'all been married, if you've been married 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, I'm impressed. But 55 years is silly.
Yeah, there's nothing like knowing for sure. Like, I've always known my wife was the right person, like 2 months in. But there's nothing like being reassured just at random moments of, yeah, I made the right decision. Like my honeymoon's whole past week, a lot of those moments where, yeah, I made the right decision.
That's good. Yeah, you were checking the box yes every time, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't mess this up. I messed up a lot of things in my 32 years of living. I did not mess this one up.
That's a good one to get right. That's a good one to get right. I'm glad you feel like you got that one right.
So, yeah, salute to your parents, 55 years. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. Happy anniversary to them. Also, happy birthday today musically to Huey Lewis, 73 today. Hope he's doing all right. I know he's unable to tour anymore with some hearing stuff, but hope Huey is doing well. Plus, Zay, one of the big dogs in the rap world, RZA, 54 today.
Legend.
Would we call him the leader of the Wu-Tang Clan?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. RZA is 54 years old, a well-rounded, not just a musician. He is just about everything he's ever wanted to be. He's branched out into a lot of different things. RZA, 54 today. It is also Shohei Ohtani's birthday today. Just 29 today, but that injury is interesting. That blister. Kind of weird. We'll see what happens there. Some of the stories, every time I see a stat, it just stops me. He is averaging, Zay, 407 when he's the pitcher. He bats 407 in games where he is also the starting pitcher.
Stupid.
That is so dumb.
Like, what are you focusing on? You know what I'm saying? Like, because you have to know every batter that comes up what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Right.
This is the MLB. This is the show. You better know.
Right.
You're not going to get me fired as a skipper, you not knowing.
But then I got to walk up there and hit Major League pitching.
Yes. Which is up in like 103, 104 for some guys. Like, the pitching's nuts right now.
It's crazy.
And he's just, he's one of the most ridiculous athletes that we've ever seen. Like, he needs to be talked about. Like, I know Deion and Bo Jackson play different sports, which they're some of the greatest athletes we've ever seen. He needs to be put up with them.
Yeah, no, by the time it's all said and done, I think it's just going to be, I think he's going to be, right up there into that realm. Certainly he'll get his love alongside the Babe Ruth discussion and things like that in terms of just the dual talent in baseball. But yeah, just incredible stuff. Hopefully he gets better soon. I say it all the time. I'm not the kind of Ranger fan that wants to to win anything just because somebody's hurt. And I hate how hurt the Angels are right now. Hopefully Ohtani can at least get back, help them out with the Trout time that he's going to miss because he goes to the IL for a little bit now. That was one of the weirdest injuries I've ever seen. Did you see the Trout injury?
Yeah, it didn't even look like his hand. Like,
Dude, he just fouled a pitch off.
yeah.
That ball hit the barrel of the bat, and all of a sudden he's got a broken wrist off of it. I've never seen that. It was just, that's where you go back to what you were talking about. Is this dude just cursed with injuries? Because that's not supposed to cause an injury. He said he wasn't feeling anything going into the at-bat, fouls that one pitch off, and then all of a sudden, left wrist is messed up, and they go find a fracture. That's terrible.
It's brutal.
Oh, that is just crazy. Also, for your born on the 4th of July birthdays, the great Bill Withers was born on the 4th of July, died in 2020. Morgana the Kissing Bandit, for those of you that are old enough, she was born on the 4th of July. Yep, turned 69 yesterday. Zay, for basketball, the Grant twins were 58 yesterday. Horace and Harvey Grant were born on the 4th of July. And back to music, Post Malone is a 4th of July baby.
Wow.
28 for Post Malone.
Post Malone.
You know how he celebrated?
How?
I'm guessing a tat. I'm just playing the odds.
I mean, doesn't he have enough already? Like, damn.
I don't know if he'll ever have enough. Where does he get them now? What's the spot? If
I don't want to know.
Yo.
There's spots that he shouldn't show that he probably gets now.
Post, what's the next one, man?
People always say once you get that first tattoo, you're hooked.
Yeah,
Like, you just have to keep getting them.
I would love to talk to though, like people like Post, Lil Wayne, and others. Even a Mike Tyson, who, like, what is it that made you go to the head, neck, face area?
Yeah.
That feels like a huge boundary line.
Worst, most underrated tattoo of all time, which nobody sees it and nobody should. Reggie Miller's belly button tattoo.
What?
That is one of the worst tattoos.
Reggie has how do you know he has that?
I've watched a lot of NBA video stuff, like from back in the day, and I want to say Reggie Miller went shirts and skin. Shout out to you and Trey. Back when Michael Jordan was having his, what's it called?
Like a camp?
No, Space Jam. When Jordan was filming Space Jam, and they were in LA.
When they had those famous
Yeah,
games.
they had
Okay.
those famous games, and guys would go out there, and you would see different clips. Like there was a clip where Reggie Miller was playing and stuff like that. And they took a picture. Look it up. Reggie Miller belly button tattoo. Absolutely like a sun around his belly button. I was like, dang, Reggie. Like, wow.
I'm going to need a while to process the fact that you know that information. That may be too much to know.
Well, we're supposed to know sports.
You are.
What you want me to do?
That is multiple level.
I'm saying that
I don't know.
when things like that, when you see just ridiculous things like that, you want to forget, but I can't help myself. I have to remember that.
Yeah, part of me wants to tell you to just go to a college football schedule at that point, but then the other part says, no, that's freaky enough. You should pay attention. You should know that. I know dumb things too, and it's just another thing that will help us out maybe one day. All right, there you go. Why Today Matters on this July 5th. Up next, Stems and Seeds. Before we get out of here, Ball Don't Lie coming up, plus our Wednesday night lineup, which is altered a little bit from last week. We'll give you the lineup the way it'll be from now all the way through football season. Coming up next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
I thought I'd finally made it and somebody'd sampled me in a song. Dadgummit. Thought it was that close. Thought it was happening. All right, finishing up on a Wednesday with some LL Cool J? Is
Yep.
that who I'm hearing?
Bad.
This is bad. Did he just swear and they had to edit him? I didn't think LL Cool J sweared. I thought I heard an edit there. No?
I feel like this might have been the first one,
Yeah?
like where he just went in on everybody. This is my favorite LL Cool J song.
Where I'm sure all the fans were aghast at that one. I like it, though.
Everybody thought he was soft, just like a ladies' man. And when he came out with Bad, they were like, okay,
Yeah.
he's different.
Let him
And
have it.
Mama Say Knock You Out a few years later. Yeah, LL, he has range.
There you go. Nice job, LL. LL Cool J rounding it out. We've also had DMX, Change, the Isley Brothers, Naked Eyes, and Gary U.S. Bonds today. Eminem Beat got us started this hour. Zay is back from his honeymoon, and we've been talking a lot of different things today, including Zay's encounter with LSU fans, an SEC preview for him for a couple years from now. If he ever heads to Baton Rouge, those LSU fans were confident and smashed in Cancun.
Gosh, man.
Ready to roll.
Quinn Ewers, it's overrated trash. Arch Manning ain't nothing. I'm like, yo, y'all need to relax.
Wow.
We ain't even in the SEC yet, and y'all already talking mess.
So they didn't want to just discuss stuff. They were smashing on Texas people.
Yes.
They were going all negative.
You should have seen the look I got when I told him I'm from the ATX.
Oh, man.
Like, he gave me this look like just... Wow, I can't believe you. Like, how'd you bring yourself to even be a Longhorn fan? Like, just giving me this looks and stuff, ordering like 5 drinks at once. We were waiting for him for at least 3 minutes or so because they ordered like 7 drinks. Like, y'all could come back. Y'all know that, right?
Oh,
y'all don't have to order like 8 drinks in one sitting.
And that's
Like,
the crazy part. They know both of those things are true. They'll order that many and they'll be back.
And they'll be back.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And I'm like, maybe the lady, let me talk to her. Maybe she's a little bit more, cordial. So, I'm like, yo, y'all are bat-ish. Get out of my face. Let me enjoy my honeymoon before I get kicked out of here.
Oh, there you go. A weird Baton Rouge preview for Zay in Cancun. He did not see that one coming. We had multiple people texting us some encounters they've had with different fan bases, whether it was LSU. We had somebody talking about encountering Aggies where they didn't expect to, and a Longhorn that encountered 20 Sooners out of nowhere that he wasn't
tough.
planning on. Like, he was wearing his Longhorn shirt, and from out of nowhere, he heard Boomer from behind him, and then turns around, and it's like a bus full of 20 college-age kids, and they all start, like, yelling, screaming at him.
I heard Boomer Sooner, too.
Did you?
Dude wearing an OU freaking belt buckle.
Oh, yeah.
I looked at him.
Pure class.
I was like, wow, this is an outfit here. And then somebody walked up to him, Boomer, and he yells it, Sooner. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, even in Mexico, I can't get away from these people.
And were you wearing Longhorn stuff, or were you incognito at that point?
Incognito.
Okay. All right.
I rep my horns, but my wife was like, ain't no way you're going to be rocking Texas gear when we take pictures and stuff.
Oh,
so,
my God.
happy wife, happy life.
Yep,
I
there
made
you
sure that I was right.
That's so funny. All right, that fandom, it crosses all kinds of lines, including international boundaries. All right, before we get out of here, let's go stems and seeds on a Wednesday.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. If you missed it earlier, the All Big 12 preseason team is out there. Defensive Player of the Year preseason, Jalen Ford. He is joined by Byron Murphy on defense and 3 Texas players on offense. No shock, Xavier Worthy, Jatavian Sanders, and Kelvin Banks on the offensive side of the ball. Offensive Player of the Year preseason, Jalen Daniels of Kansas. He's also the quarterback of this team. And then Trayshawn Ward, Kansas State running back, newcomer of the year. And Zay told you earlier, that's the transfer from Florida State, in case you don't know that name. A lot of transfers everywhere right now, but I was reading up on some transfers coming into the Big 12 this year. Some big-time guys. that we're going to need to remember that are going to be coming in, and it includes Kansas State. So a lot of Big 12 talk coming. Big 12 Media Days next Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be doing the show from Arlington on Wednesday. Also, remember, coming up, it's Ball Don't Lie. Mike Harge off of his vacation. 7 o'clock, Longhorn Blitz podcast. 8 o'clock, it's Fight Night as we head into another UFC pay-per-view. And at 9 o'clock, it's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, coming off of another WWE pay-per-view. And also this week, Zay, don't we get Wembanyama's first summer action?
Supposed to be Friday.
Okay.
I was checking into that Charlotte Spurs Summer League game over there in Sacramento. He didn't play in that game. Charlotte got the brakes beat off of him by San Antonio. Brandon Miller, but hey, everybody wants to see Victor Wembanyama, and his debut should be Friday.
Ooh, coming up pretty quick. Yeah, that's going to be fun. How about Brandon Miller's debut? A little sluggish at first, but he kind of got going.
Yeah, I mean, Summer League is just some of the worst basketball. If you try to give you equivalent of Summer League, go watch D or AA baseball. That's what you're getting.
Okay. I got you.
That's what you're getting. It's just everybody's out for themselves. A lot of selfish guys that just want to make it in